Company's Dominant Company.
Nashville's best sports talk.
Crank it up.
102.5 and 106.3.
Rebound and a score.
Make every play perfect.
Touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
We're going to win the game.
A Cromwell media station.
When Smashville wants to rock.
I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. Looking to the sky to save me, looking for a sign of life, 'cause it's too cold for you here.
We are Nashville's rock station. 102.9 The Buzz. Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun.
On your morning drive, this is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. On Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
It's showtime.
And welcome into the Monday edition of Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode. Nick Keyser here with you on this Monday morning. Hope everybody is doing well and had a fabulous weekend. We're out here live today in God's country, Joe Rexrode, beautiful Hendersonville, Tennessee, at Duncan at 206 Indian Lake Boulevard, the grand reopening of Duncan out here, the next-gen concept. And we're going to be out here all show long today from 6 to 9 a.m. So if you're in the Hendersonville area, come on by, 206 Indian Lake Boulevard. We're going to be out here all show long. Jeannie Riddle is out here. Ladarius Robinson is out here. It's a star-studded cast out here at the new Duncan grand reopening here at Indian Lake Boulevard here in Hendersonville. Make sure you sign up for rewards and receive $5 gift cards and fun Duncan giveaways while supplies last. Pumpkin is in, as we knew on Friday, Joe Rexrode. And also today out here at the Hendersonville location, giving away free donuts. So come out, get a free donut, and get your Monday started off the right way. Joe Rexrode, how we doing? Good morning.
That's dangerous.
It is dangerous.
But exciting. I'm doing well. What's more ridiculous from Junie Riddle? That he put this balloon right here to impede my head, or that he and Jared both think that Kenny Pickett will be MVP this year. What do you think?
I think I might go Kenny Pickett MVP today.
Yeah. Although, actually, I should be fair to Junie. Junie thinks not this year.
Yeah, it's next year.
Yeah, just calm down.
Yeah.
He probably finished second or third in the MVP voting this year and then start winning them next year.
That's right.
On the regular. My goodness.
I told him, I said, I saw Jared tweet this last night about Kenny Pickett MVP. You heard it here first. I was like, when Jared starts saying stuff like that, I'd probably be a little bit worried.
Yeah, exactly.
If I was you.
Yeah.
If you're a Steelers fan. Just throwing it out there.
You should just block him on your phone, Junie. Just block Jared on your phone.
We got a whole lot to get into today here on the program. Corey Curtis from News 2 will drop by at 8 o'clock. We're looking forward to visiting with him, fresh off the Titans' second preseason game in Minnesota. So, obviously a lot to get to on the Titans front today. I was at Geodis Park on Saturday night for Inter Miami and Nashville SC in the Leagues Cup final. And, Joe, I got to say, obviously the result at the end of it, it's a heartbreaking loss for Nashville SC. It's 1-1 after regulation, and they lose in penalty kicks. It gets all the way down to the goalkeepers in penalty kicks. And Miami wins the Leagues Cup title at Geodis Park on Saturday night. But what a atmosphere it was. It was crazy to be a part of. The crowd was sold out. It was loud from start to finish in that game. Lots of energy in the building, lots of energy throughout the whole game. And, watching, obviously Lionel Messi do his thing out there, that goal he scored was just freaking ridiculous.
Unbelievable,
the other night. And I thought Nashville SC, especially in the second half, was the better team and gave Miami all that they could handle. But unfortunately, a couple of really good looks for Nashville SC, particularly in the second half, and they just weren't able to convert. Sam Surridge and Hani Mukhtar had basically what amounted to a 2-on-1 at one point and just didn't really play it the way that they wanted to. And Mukhtar, he got his shot just kind of blocked a little bit. Otherwise, I wonder if that one goes in. But a couple of the big chances for Nashville SC in the second half, they weren't able to convert. And, when you get to penalty kicks, it's kind of all out the window at that point. It's kind of a crapshoot. And Miami wins the title. But what a game, what an environment on Saturday night at Geodis Park.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
My goodness, it looked like it was incredible. And that's really cool that you went. It's first of all, some booing of Messi. Some people, I suggested that would not happen. I was wrong. How much booing of Messi was there?
That's a pretty good amount.
Yeah, pretty good amount of it.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I mean, I thought maybe it'd be a little bit of like, yay, Messi, and then, hope to beat you. But, hey, man, you know what? I'm for it.
Get after him,
yeah.
Didn't bother me.
Absolutely. Get after him. Yeah, the goal he scored, ridiculous.
It didn't seem to affect him very much.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know how the heck he found the space to get that
either.
off. It's absurd what he's done. It's too bad, it's one of those moments. I've seen a little bit of like, is Nashville cursed because the comparison last week made like the Stanley Cup final and all that stuff, or we know about all the home playoff games the Titans have had in this town. Just they've
ripped your heart out.
Yeah, they've had better success away. They're like the Titans playoff. Best moments are like at Jacksonville, at Baltimore, at New England. I mean, home it hasn't been good. So, but keep plugging away, and we'll get one.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really good environment. Like I said, I thought they were the better team. I really did. Like I thought, as that game wore on Saturday, I thought that they were going to win. I mean, it just felt like they were getting the momentum, and they really the first, I'd say, 20 minutes of the game, they didn't spend a whole lot of time in the offensive part of the field for them, and it kind of felt like at times they were hanging on. And then towards the end of it, they started peppering the goal, and then all of a sudden Miami got like what essentially amounted to almost a breakaway.
That was insane.
And he flips it over. I remember who was back for Nashville SC, but, I mean, you're talking
he fell
6 inches the other way, and the game's over. That was the last play before stoppage time. Or that was the last play of stoppage time before they went to penalty kicks. And it was just a
pinned
fraction.
it against the post.
Yeah, it was crazy. Just a crazy game on Saturday night. We're going to get more into that a little bit later in the show today. But Miami wins the Leagues Cup final. All in all, though, I mean, that's a heck of a run for Nashville SC. We talked about this Friday, just in terms of really establishing yourself in the market and having something that generates fans and new fans and brings them in. I mean, if you were at that game Saturday, I mean, I saw a ton of people at the game Saturday night. I think maybe the entire Nashville Predators roster was at the game Saturday night. Ran into a few of those guys. It was really cool, and the fans were rowdy. I mean, they were rowdy Saturday night. It was awesome.
Yeah, no, that's a fan base adder right there. I saw a thing where Messi, it was like his 44th, cup or whatever, trophy of the championship or something. Yeah, that seems like a lot. It seems high.
It seems like an incredible amount. Liam, upset from the game the other night on the text line, says, just another example is why soccer is a nonsense sport. Having goalies take penalty kicks to decide which team is better is an awful ending. Exciting? Sure, that was fun, but it's still dumb. That's from Liam on the text line.
I disagree. And, in fact, to me, we should start taking the
it
Stanley
hockey.
Cup playoffs and go goalie on goalie, man.
Yeah, I agree.
And if not, let's have some goalie on goalie fighting, like when little Patty Roy got his ass kicked by Chris Osgood. That was amazing.
We'll get more into Nashville SC as the show goes along today. Take your thoughts on that game all show long. 615-737-1025, our phone number. The Titans win 24-16 in Game 2 of the preseason on Saturday night. It was the Malik Willis show. Will Levis not able to play on Saturday, so Malik Willis playing, I guess, basically the entire game at quarterback, although Mason Kinsey did get in there for a few snaps. But Malik Willis, 10 of 17, 85 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. We're going to get more specifically into him and the way that he played on Saturday night here in just a few minutes. But Titans win 24-16. Julius Chestnut, a couple of touchdowns, one on the ground, one through the air. Tyjae Spears with a really impressive 33-yard touchdown in that game. He's looked great so far in the preseason. All in all, what were some of your takeaways from the Titans win in Game 2 of the preseason, 24-16 against Minnesota?
Yeah, the running back position, I think, is a big takeaway from this game for me. Tyjae Spears is I think we can see it. In fact, I think there's a guy who, you might want to have a seat.
May not want to play. Yep.
Yeah. Although it's interesting, one thing that Vrabel said yesterday, he just introduced the idea that maybe Landry needs a little work in this game. Like, wow. He's gone about things a little bit differently with that.
Yeah.
Even the fact that, like, Chig played in this game after not playing in the first game. Like, he's looking at some different people. By the way, Chig
catch the ball.
Yeah, Chig needs to work on catching passes. I mean, those are two good passes from Malik Willis that you have to have. But Tyjae Spears is going to be fun to watch. He's going to make some plays for this team. I don't know, now that we're pushing into fantasy draft territory here, I'm not saying I would advise anybody to draft him, although I think handcuffing Derrick Henry is always a good idea probably.
Yep.
But, man, he's going to do some things with his team. And I think Julius Chestnut is on this team. I don't know about Hassan Haskins. I think they both may be on this team. In fact, got a little new 53 coming out. We can talk about it later. Oh, get excited. But Julius Chestnut, man. So I saw this on X. Let me make sure that I have it right. I think it was Herndon talking about this. Someone said that Chestnut was at 21 miles an hour on that touchdown. Is that? Did I see that correct?
I haven't seen that, but I believe it. Watching him run, yeah.
Well, he got caught too, which is what's weird. But yeah, I believe that's right. Like it was like one of the fast. Here you go. This is TD. TD tweeted this. 21.6 mile per hour on that 55-yard run. That's faster than the Spears went 20.1 on the 33-yarder. By the way, anything over 20 is fast as
good. Heck.
So Chestnut, 220-pound, and also to me, the catch he made of the touchdown pass, not a cinch. I mean, that ball was humming and ran a nice route, caught the ball. I mean, Vrabel said yesterday it's something like, Chestnut embodies what we're about. He was a game captain. Put him on the team. He's on the team. And, I mean, I picked him going into camp. He was on the initial 53.
Yeah, he was.
I know you read that.
I did.
They're all amazing. But, that was still one of those, I think so, but I don't know. Forget about it. I think he's a good, backup to Derrick Henry. Now, I don't think you'll see a lot of him on offense this year unless Henry gets hurt. But he's going to be a core special teams guy, and good for him. Vrabel was talking about this yesterday. His mom actually was there in Minnesota. I think he's from, the Baltimore area. His mom showed up in Minnesota. You get to see him, 98 yards, have a receiving and rushing touchdown. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty cool. The kickers, not terribly tested. But
take a knee.
Trey Wolf, 1 of 1 for field goals. I think it was a 22-yarder, so I'd hope he'd make that. 2 of 2 on extra points for him. And Caleb Shudak, 1 of 1 on his extra point. So no misses for the kickers the other night.
Yeah.
I don't know how much testing was actually done, but no misses.
Trey Wolf hit the post on the extra point. So
went in, though.
It did go in. it did go in. That is true. Yeah, I don't know. They didn't get the situations they needed to get in that, which is unfortunate. And I don't know. I'm really dubious. I think this week has got to be – somebody's got to be great, or I think we're maybe talking about something different there.
I thought Stonehouse punted the ball a little bit better. That was good to see.
He did?
Yeah. And Vrabel didn't call him out after the press conference. That's good, too.
Not ripping him publicly, so it must be a good sign.
We're off and running today here on Robby and Rexrode. Take your thoughts, 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, we'll continue the conversation on the Titans, including some news for this week that was unexpected, but understandable after some events around the league on Saturday night. We'll get into all that coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Nashville Sounds Baseball lives on 94.9 The Fan. Catch every pitch.
Swing and a miss, strike 3.
Every hit.
That's a base hit.
Every run.
Looking up, it's gone.
On your home for Sounds Baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
It's Joe Rexrode, folks. It's fantasy football time, and it's fantasy football draft time. And I want you to know Twin Peaks is the place for your fantasy football draft. The Twin Peaks Draft Party Package gives league commissioners and its members an elevated, easy experience, along with scenic views, fantastic food, 29-degree beer. At Twin Peaks, your draft party package includes a draft board, player stickers, $50 bonus commissioner card, $5 bonus card per league member, and a premium table reservation with Wi-Fi. Get to Twin Peaks this year for your fantasy football draft party. Locations in Madison and Cool Springs.
Whatever your destination in life, you can get there easier with a checking account from F&M Bank. At F&M Bank, their checking accounts give you the tools you need to manage your money well, like the smart, free checking account that's actually free, because banking shouldn't be hard, and sometimes the basics are more than enough. Making lives better by making banking easier. Go see them at one of their 20 locations across Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky, or online at myfmbank.com. F&M Bank, banking made easy on purpose. Member FDIC.
Hey, what's up? It's Chase McKay. Been talking about PhD weight loss for a while now. Dr. Ashley Lucas, it is the program that she has created. And the best part is they'll create that program specifically for you, because you know what? We are all different. My program and your program are going to be different things. I am enjoying it. The food, 85% of it is provided for you if you choose to use it at no additional cost. Or your coach can teach you how to use your own food and still work with the program. I mentioned a coach that you have those weekly one-on-one sessions with your coach. See how you're doing. They can adjust things as you go because your body's going to change. And then when you get to your goal weight, they're going to teach you how to keep it. I mentioned that goal weight. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight by the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. That is their offer guarantee. So why would you not check this out? Go to myphdweightloss.com. That's myphdweightloss.com.
Seems like everything costs more these days. Food, utilities, medical costs, you name it. But as prices go up, our family budget stays the same. Fortunately, with Farm Bureau Health Plan's Core Choice coverage, we can save $3,600 a year compared to the leading competitor. And we've got better coverage with a lower premium, lower deductible, free telehealth visits, and access to one of the largest networks available. Start saving today at fbhp.com or visit your local Farm Bureau office.
This summer, they are coming back.
You know where you are?
For you.
You're in the jungle, baby.
Guns N' Roses, live. North America 2023. This Saturday night, Geodis Park. Tickets are on sale now at livenation.com. Finally, back in North America. Don't miss Guns N' Roses.
Anyone want to tell me what happened?
Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Robby and Rexrode podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to theGameNashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You're locked into Robby and Rexrode, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty.
I had the radio on. I'm listening to
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Call TJ's team today to see why they were referred to so often. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by Superbook. Nick Keyser holding down the fort, live from our 102.5 The Game studios, brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Taking your thoughts, 615-737-1025. By the way, quickly on the Nashville SC front, Josh from Cookeville on the text line says, it's one of the most entertaining games I've watched for Nashville SC. If that game doesn't help you become a soccer fan, I don't know what will. It does stink that Nashville sports have always been a bridesmaid, never the bride, but I'm proud of them holding Inter Miami to 1 goal, and the interest the tournament generated hopefully bodes well for the future of MLS. Will in Nashville on the text line asking about the crowd split between those pulling for Nashville and those pulling for Miami and Messi. There were a lot of Messi jerseys there, but I would say if I had to give a rough guesstimate, Joe, 75% Nashville SC.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit higher. So,
okay.
I mean, it's Nashville SC fans were loud in that one. So it wasn't like it was some Inter Miami / Messi takeover in the building.
Yeah. That actually, I'm a little surprised, though, that they sound like about 25%. I just figured it would be, home stronghold with the obvious Messi fascination to go with it. But I suppose Messi's he's gonna bring a certain amount of people wherever he goes, right?
I would imagine so.
He's like the Grateful Dead.
He is. We'll get back into Nashville SC coming up a little bit later in the show. So, Joe, the Titans were scheduled to have joint practices with the New England Patriots this week in advance of the preseason game coming up on Friday. And now that is not going to happen. Isaiah Bolden of the New England Patriots with a very scary injury on Saturday in their preseason game against the Packers. Happened in the fourth quarter with about 10 minutes left. And I was telling, Junie before the game, kind of like a crossing pattern, and Bolden collides with a teammate and kind of got sideswiped on the side of his head there and was down on the field for a while. He went to the hospital in Green Bay. He was checked out at the hospital, and he was released and flew back with the team. So good news that he appears to be okay, and that the worst part of the injury seems to have been avoided. But a scary situation for New England on Saturday. They actually stopped the game. So there was like 10 minutes and 30 seconds left in the game in the fourth quarter between the Patriots and the Packers, and they decided to just go ahead and call the game after that situation with Isaiah Bolden. So because of that, Patriots announced yesterday that they will not be coming to Nashville for joint practices. So no joint practices this week between the Titans and the Patriots.
Yeah. And certainly, first of all, stopping the game when they did at that point, you have no idea. You have no idea if he's going to be okay. There was some early, word that there was feeling the extremities, which is always great to hear.
Yeah.
But you still don't know. That's something that shakes you, obviously, on either team. So canceling the game makes sense. I was a little surprised, that they canceled the joint practices on this, but obviously that kind of changed their situation, and so I don't know what that really means it means the Titans aren't going to get some of the looks they thought they were going to get this week. So I don't know if that changes how they approach things. Maybe it does, Look, I think with the joint practices, for the most part, although it was a little different, the one in Tampa, but for the most part, all the Titans are participating. We saw it last week, thought that there was a key Titan who maybe got a big injury, but I don't know that you could have had that exact same injury going against Christian Fulton downfield too in a practice, right? Maybe there's a little bit extra juice when you're going against another team, but obviously disappointing for people here who are looking forward, because those joint practices can be, I think, very, they can give you some information to the outside world, and I think it's good for the teams too. That's why they all do it now. I think everybody basically schedules 2 a preseason now, right? So, but they'll still play them in that preseason game. Like we said earlier, it sounds like, Vrabel's not looking at this like just get the guys at the bottom of the roster out there and let's get out of here. It sounds like he's looking at this a little bit more like let's see who needs some work.
Well, that part of it's interesting because, I don't know that I expect, Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry ended up out there this week in the game. But, obviously a big benefit of the joint practices is you get your starters good work, and in theory you're minimizing some of the risk that goes along with playing in a football game. And now that they're not getting that work with another team in joint practices, I do wonder if maybe with a few guys that wouldn't have played otherwise in the preseason game, in the finale coming up, does the mindset shift a little bit from Vrabel? Because remember, it used to be you'd have the last preseason game, and then the next week, you're going into the season. Right. Now it's the last preseason game, and you got a whole week off before you get into game plan. So, it's not a huge deal. I don't know that the plan from Vrabel is going to change all that much, but that is, for some guys, a couple of weeks of not really going up against anybody else from a different game-like standpoint. So I do wonder, does Vrabel have maybe 2 or 3 guys in mind that maybe wouldn't have played in the preseason finale that now that they're not having these joint practices maybe find themselves in the game for a little while?
Yeah, I think some people, maybe even some owners, hope that the elimination of the 4th game is the elimination of the totally worthless game, and that the 3rd game is still kind of viewed like a dress rehearsal, because that's the thing. It's basically that dress rehearsal is the same period of time, from that point to the beginning of the season. That was always the dress rehearsal game. Vrabel has not done it that way. This is the year what of 3 preseason games? Year 2 or year 3?
I believe it's year 3 of 3 preseason games.
So, and we could look back, but I'm quite sure most of any preseason games he hasn't played many people at all, right? I think especially recently. I remember before maybe Mariota's last year, I think maybe they played him. Did they play him like a whole half at Pittsburgh in a preseason game?
I think
it
was
quite a bit. But Vrabel moved off of that. But it does sound like it's interesting. Across the league, for whatever the value is. I know some Titans fans get mad. They're like, Mahomes is out there, and it's like, some of these coaches are finding some value in a couple series here with the main people. I would expect. I think the one's offensive line will get another run here.
Yeah.
I think so. Vrabel made it very clear. He listed all the guys who aren't going to play. Tannehill, Henry, Hoggins. He's like, they've played a lot of football. I don't think Burks would have played even if it wasn't hurt right now. I don't know, maybe Chig again. And like he said, Landry. They're still looking at – obviously, they're still looking at inside linebacker. So, right now Gibbons is the one, but I think that spot is still kind of like, okay, can they be better there? And then I think for the most part – this is one thing Vrabel said yesterday too is like, if you play basically like these guys, Marsh and Garor, who we'll talk about butchering a guy's name, Avery, all these guys, like they're basically playing an entire game and they're playing special teams.
Yep.
And it's 90 not Minnesota, but like this Friday, it's gonna be 99 on Friday.
Really hot.
So he's like, you have to also think about like being safe with those guys and having enough people playing in a game. So you don't completely wipe guys out. So that'll be interesting too.
Yep, for sure. And obviously, you can't foresee something like what happened with Isaiah Bolden on Saturday night happening with the Patriots, but it's unfortunate that they're not able to get that work in. I will say, you watch the joint practices. I mean, last year they had joint practices, and I think the second one was against the Cardinals, and then the Cardinals showed up, and I think they canceled one day and went in shorts the next day. So it's not like last year they had 2 straight weeks of obvious big work with joint practices either, and they were 7-3 to begin the season. It's not going to affect anything once the regular season comes around. But would have liked to have seen them get some more work against the Patriots, and specifically the younger quarterbacks against that defense.
Good defense,
and not just the the players, because I don't know how many starters would have played for New England, but the scheme. New England does some things where it's just very different from a lot of other teams around the league. And obviously, I follow the Packers closely, and that's all the floor talked about last week was how good the looks that New England was going to give the quarterbacks were going to be. So unfortunate from that standpoint that Malik Willis couldn't see that, and Will Levis. It doesn't sound like it's going to be overly long or serious with Will Levis because, according to the Vrabel, Titans don't seem to have any plans of signing another quarterback. So I would assume Levis is back out there at some point this week.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, he was out there warming up, throwing it around Saturday, TD with some good detective work. You got the video. You saw a little wrap on the, here, which would suggest maybe maybe do a Twitter doctor thing, slight hamstring pull. I mean,
just glad it wasn't the foot.
Yeah, well, right. There was some speculation about that. It's if it was a foot, he's not walking out there with no boot.
No.
I mean, you can count on that. But, yeah, it looks like I would kind of expect him to be out there tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, if Vrabel doesn't want to sign a quarterback, I guess that tells you it's not overly serious at that point. So we'll see what happens on that. Coming up next, we're going to get into the Malik Willis part of this and evaluate his performance in the game on Saturday night. It was the Malik Willis show. He was in the quarterback the whole game, other than a few snaps when Mason Kinsey got to take some snaps at quarterback, which is fun to see the other night. So we'll get your thoughts on Malik Willis. 615-737-1025. Our phone number, 615-737-1025. We're out here today at Duncan in Hendersonville, 206 Indian Lake Boulevard. We're going to be out here all show long from 6 to 9 a.m. Come on by, get you a free donut. 206 Indian Lake Boulevard, giving away free donuts out here for people who drop by. So we're going to be out here all show long. Hope to see some of you out here as well. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
It's a long summer. But don't worry. Hockey will be back soon. You'll hear every slap shot, save, hit, and of course,
Knocked down in front, rebound, and a score!
On your home for Smashville, 102.5 and 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app. Is it October yet?
Hey, it's John Tesh. You know why insurance companies use all those cute and funny characters? To distract you from realizing you're only getting one option. If you want to compare prices, you're forced to visit multiple websites just to get one quote at a time. But not with Xander Insurance, because they work for you. Xander is a broker that shops dozens of top companies to find the best competitive rates for the coverage you need, and they keep reviewing your policy every year to make sure you're getting the best value. They're always available to answer questions, handle problems, and make sure that when it comes to insurance, your life is simple and hassle-free. You even have direct access to their senior management team. If your current company or agent doesn't do this much for you, let Xander Insurance help. Compare rates online at Xander.com or call 800-356-1780 for that personal touch. When Xander works for you, you're going to see the difference. Again, that's 800-356-1780, or you can visit Xander.com with no characters needed.
Now through Labor Day, get fantastic deals at Electronic Express. Get a 65-inch TCL 4K Roku TV, only $349, or an HP Chromebook for just $249. Electronic Express has huge savings on computers, appliances, 4K TVs, mattresses, and more. Don't miss out on an Avanti laundry pair, just $379 each, or a Ring Video doorbell for only $69. Plus, get up to 5 years special financing throughout the entire store. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Oh, Charlie's, that's where you'll find me. That southern flavor got me saying, hey, y'all. And ooh, that gooey caramel pie tastes like summertime at Old Charlie's.
The sweet, sweet sounds of this song are in honor of the sweet, sweet news that free Pie Wednesdays are back at O'Charlie's. O'Charlie's. Oh, that's good.
Yum, yum, have some fun. Charlie's, born in Nashville, and it shows.
If it's important to Nashville,
I'll put it out right now.
it's important to Jared Stillman.
Like, that's it.
He's not afraid to ask the tough questions.
Something is going on, and the question is, what does it mean?
Or give the strong opinion.
And just needed the bozo offensive coordinator to stop ruining the quarterback.
Stillman and Company. Weekdays at 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Rick Stockstill, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
Coach Rabel had mentioned, how important it is for you to still make plays with your leg. Like, how much does that help you, get into that groove and do what you need to do?
It helps a lot because at first I was trying to make sure I was staying in the pocket and just making sure I give everybody opportunity. And sometimes he's telling me, like, maybe me getting out of there is better than throwing the check down, but that's just going to be me finding the balance between that.
That was Malik Willis on Saturday night after the game. The Titans win 24-16 on Saturday in Game 2 of the preseason. And, Joe, it was a Malik Willis show on Saturday. Will Levis unable to go in that game, and Malik Willis gets the whole game at quarterback for the Tennessee Titans. He goes 10 of 17, 85 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He also ran for 91 yards against the Vikings on Saturday night in the preseason game, 11 carries, 91 yards. So obviously not a ton of passing that got done for the Titans in that game on Saturday, throwing for 85 yards in the game. Overall, what did you make of the performance of Malik Willis on Saturday against the Minnesota Vikings?
Well, I thought it was fine. It was solid, at times. It was we got a Bucs fan rolling through here. I didn't have that on the bingo card.
Big
Bucs
Baker
fans
Mayfield
coming in here pre 7 a.m.
I like it.
Baker or Trask?
Baker.
Okay, he's going Baker. He thinks it's going to be Baker.
There we go. Yeah. No flopping.
Okay.
No flopping from Baker allowed. Can't do it.
Yeah. I got you. Yeah, so okay, so flops
Malik Willis.
What's that?
Malik Willis.
Yeah, Malik Willis, that's right. Sorry. Bucs QB talk got me all.
Yeah, got me frazzled.
Yeah. It was fine. He was fine, but I thought that was a little bit of an opportunity squandered just because you have the whole game. To me, there's got to be a little bit of like comfort in that. You're not going to have this, oh, man, I really want to go out for the next series, and now he's going in. Yep. And now it's like, oh, you're back in, which, again, they're trying to make him uncomfortable, which is a good plan. I like that plan for backup quarterback, someone trying to be a back quarterback. But you know that it's your game, and to me it's like, man, if you absolutely go lights out in this game, what does that mean? I mean, does that not give you a little more distance for QB2, right? Does that not help you? I thought we talked earlier, Chig, Okonkwo drops a couple passes, I thought, and one of them I thought was a really nice adjustment by Willis too, and a little kind of a flip sidearm a little bit. Perfect. I mean, other than putting it like right on the numbers. I mean, it hit both hands with touch, and he just dropped it. So he had some bad luck there. He was tremendous running the football, and really when Vrabel got asked about it yesterday, he kind of went right to that. He played fast, decisive, and it's good. Like decisive as a runner, and you can see what a weapon he can be. But again, it's like we know that.
Right.
We know that. I just thought, the pick, and I've seen some different bits of analysis on the pick. And, what the Mike usually does, or the linebacker in that spot usually does in cover 2. But, I mean, Vrabel yesterday is like, basically, it's cover 2, and, you can't, basically you can't make that decision. And so that's to me, I can't spin that into that wasn't on Malik Willis. I mean, I don't think you have to make that. You have to take that risk at that point. And – like the Westbrook-Akine play, wide open, like he just got to step into a throw, and that's a big play if you make it. He made some good ones. The TD pass was good. It was a stare down from the start, but it was good. I still think it's just a little bit of initial thing gets taken away, and it's taken a little long, and then it's a little bit still of, all right, go to the run. So, I mean, look, it wasn't like it was all bad. Charles and I were actually texting about, Charles Robinson and I were texting about this, and I don't know, he might have seen, like, somebody wrote over, he was like, I thought he was solid. And I was like, yeah, he was solid. I mean, it wasn't bad. There was definitely some good in the game. It's just that I thought it was an opportunity to really, take a little bit of a jump away from Levis, and I don't think that's the case. I still think it's wide open right now.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think he was very good. I thought he had some moments where he made some good throws. Obviously, running the ball, he was great. 11 carries, 91 yards, and you could see on one of those for sure. I think it was the one late in the first half. Not only did he break out and get outside the pocket and go, but he got away from people. Like he looked fast out there, which was good to see. But I'm with you. Like I just thought there was a huge opportunity for him maybe to distance himself a little bit in the competition, and I didn't walk away from the game thinking he did that. And that doesn't mean that he's not going to be QB2, and that doesn't mean that he can't come back this week and have a really good performance. Like I said, I didn't think it was terrible. I didn't think he was really bad or anything like that. I just thought there was an opportunity in front of him with Will Levis not playing to distance himself in the competition, and I don't feel like he did that. And, we'll see what that means. Will Levis, obviously, you got to get on the field and you got to get your reps in. So that's going to be on Will Levis this week to see if he can get that done. But I saw a lot of reaction on Saturday. I think underwhelmed would probably be the word that a lot of Titans fans had when they watched Malik Willis on Saturday night. And again, like you said, he did make some really good decisions. He made some really good throws in that game. But all in all, I just thought maybe too much left on the table for Malik Willis on Saturday night. And I didn't walk away from it thinking that he really seized the opportunity that I thought he had heading into the game when he was going to play the whole time.
Yeah, William from Madison says, average at best, hoping your second-year, third-round pick would have played great against second and third-string players. Always, I get that, William from Madison. I will say you got to also remember you're being protected by backups too. Right. You're throwing to backups too. So that does balance out a little bit, right? I mean, if your guys can't block their second stringers. Actually, by the way, I thought the Titans' reserve linemen were a little better this year. Think about Chicago. I mean, 8 sacks. So at least there was that. Jalen Duncan continues to kind of be an adventure out there, but he's a rookie, and a bit of a project. Unnamed texter, 11 for 17, 85 for Willis. Is this typical Titans football? You think with the preseason we'd see some deep throws thanks to the run game? I'm trying to think. Did they take a deep shot? Did he take a deep shot at one time in this game? He had a couple. There were absolutely a couple play action, I think, shots that were called based on just he looked downfield first and then throttled it down. And I don't remember the outcomes of those plays. One of them at least he ran. So, just because of those stats doesn't mean that they were just committed. Like, we're just going to come in this preseason game and just run. But the run plays worked. I mean, they ran for almost 300 yards in the game, So.
That's the thing, because obviously you look at the numbers and you can't argue against it. They had 40 carries for 281 yards in the game, so it worked really well for the Titans running the ball. I will say, obviously hindsight's 20/20. I would have liked to have seen Willis throw the ball more than 17 times in this game to just get a really good look at it. But, I mean, look, he himself ran the ball 11 times, and not all of those were design runs. So, I mean, those are passing plays that you call where he doesn't see anything available to him, and he takes off and goes. So it's not like the Titans didn't call passing plays. Just when your quarterback runs it 11 times, that cuts into the amount of balls you're going to throw in a game. Right.
Jared from Spring Hill asked about throwing motions. Both guys have struggled to hit throws. Just wonder if fundamentals and mechanics are playing a larger role than quick release. I mean, mechanics do play a role. I mean, look, I think Willis has worked really hard on it, and I think he's gotten better. But I thought that there were a couple of throws in this game where he went back foot and didn't need to go back foot. Yeah. And I think that's something with him. And obviously stepping into throws is going to help you. Yeah, I don't know mechanically what the issue may have been on the NWI, but I think he just rushed it. Yeah. And he just didn't need to rush it. And, again, that's just a layup. You got to have that one. So I think with Willis, I think he does. I'd say Willis has a little bit, with Levis, a little bit quicker release. Yep. easier. You know, I don't know. I've had the debate with people on who throws it harder. I think it's really close. I think they both have huge arms. But, yeah, look, both of them have worked on fundamentals. Levis, my gosh, I'm going to struggle with these guys back and forth. I mean, Levis, early in camp, had especially one day where he's sailing stuff, and it's like that's a footwork thing. So he's worked hard on that. So, I mean, you know, obviously they work on those things, but you can work on it, and then you get into a game situation. That's where you really test if the work is taking, right? If you can go class to grass, as they say, Robbie.
Very nicely
class
done.
to grass.
And then, you know, on the receiving front, 4 catches, 37 yards on 4 targets for Mason Kinsey. Other than that, nobody had more than 1 catch. Mason Kinsey has 4 catches. Chig had a catch, and he dropped 2. Racey McMath had a catch. Gavin Holmes, Josh Wiley, Tyjae Spears, Julius Chestnut. And that was it. I mean, Chris Moore with 1 target, NWI with 1 target like you talked about. So it's not – I don't know how much we really discovered from the receivers the other night either. And, you know, 10 of 17, 85 yards for Willis. It's, you know, beyond just the stats. He did run the ball a lot. And look, I thought there were a couple of throws he made that were really good, but I want to see more on Friday. And hopefully Levis can play, and it's back closer to what we saw in game 1.
Does he get the whole game? Would you give him the whole game?
Levis? No, I wouldn't.
You would not?
I would split them up again, similar to what they did in Chicago. Now, I will say I would probably – I think in the Chicago game they leaned a little bit more towards Willis getting the snaps. I'd probably lean a little bit more towards Levis in this preseason finale.
I would certainly, especially if your one's O-line is going to play, I think you got to give Levis the start, right? Yeah. I think so. I think you got to give him a chance to play with them. And then, you know, I think based on what we've seen, it's possible NWI, Chris Moore, Chig are out there along with the one's O-line. Maybe Spears too. Again, I might be like,
I may sit him down.
I might just sit him down. But whether it's him or not, that group, whatever that group is of your top guys, I think Levis should definitely get to play with those guys some.
Let's go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Mike in Gallatin. Mike, good morning. Thanks for calling in.
Good morning, guys. So I think a lot of this has kind of had to do with the flow of the game and the Titans just kind of doing their ground and pound strategy, if you will. But in a preseason game, like, is anybody really going to get too hurt or disrespectful? Because at that point, we were towards the end of the game, we had the game locked down. If we went out there and we threw the ball 3 times to end that stretch of the game, would it have been that big of a deal? Because again, 13 to 14 attempts for Malik Willis throughout an entire game isn't going to show him or help him in terms of being able to get him a job if we were to hand it over to Levis himself also. And I'm not liking the fact that we don't know if Willis, the passer, outside of the pick and the drops and the things that we saw in the game, is really getting a chance to show him if he's improved or if he's in those situations, because we're not putting him in those spots. So I was really kind of hoping that the Vikings would match the Titans with scores so that we would put ourselves in the more passing situations. And again, I just don't think that we have Willis getting any help for himself either way, if he's staying or going, without getting more passing attempts.
Yep, thanks for the call, Mike. Appreciate it.
It's okay. So we just went over it. So he ended up with how many passing attempts?
17.
Right. So he threw the ball 17 times and he ran it 11 times. Right. How many of those runs were designed runs?
Maybe 2.
1. Right.
1 or 2.
So they're calling pass plays. I mean, let's say 2. Okay. So they called 26 pass plays.
Yeah.
I mean, if he runs it 9-10 times, then I don't know what to tell you. It's not the Titans not putting him in position to do it. It's he's choosing to run. And again, a lot of them were effective. I mean, 91 yards is great, but it's just not. I mean, it's one of those things. I don't know that there were a lot where I'm like, I think last year would be a lot of first read, no bye, right?
Yeah.
And it's immediate. And I don't think that's – I think a lot of these plays, if you go back and look at them, it's first rate, and then it's trying to still go through progressions, trying to still keep your eyes downfield and then go. So I'm not necessarily even blaming him for, running too early on a lot of those. I mean, sometimes you have to be decisive and, okay, it's there, take it.
Sure.
But enough pass plays were called in this game.
We'll take your thoughts on Malik Willis, 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. What did you make of Malik Willis's performance against Minnesota on Saturday? We'll continue that conversation coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
He knows the ins and outs of the Titans and isn't afraid to give his opinion.
Traylon Burks needs a massive offseason.
He's Jonathan Hutton of Outkick.
I don't see how they make a move without going to Ryan Tannehill.
Catch him every Monday at 10:30 on Chase McCabe and every Wednesday at noon on Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Hutton is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Robby Stanley here. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time than now to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and much more. All you got to do, visit FanDuel.com/Rob and kick off the NFL season. Just remember I told you. I think the Green Bay Packers are going to be a little bit better than people think, but you take it any way you want to take it. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Make sure you call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
312 Pizza Company is a proud sponsor of Nashville Sounds Baseball on 102.5 The Game.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
For the love of the climb, for the love of the fall, for the love of knowing your kids' laughter is the sweetest music there is, for the love of Tennessee. Travel safe. Brought to you by the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's Vandy and Hawaii at First Bank Stadium. Kickoff at 6:30. Pre-game coverage begins at 5 p.m.
Your home for the Commodores is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're locked into Robby and Rexrode.
Every morning, first thing.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I think maybe for quarterbacks that don't scramble as much in practice or aren't going to get hit in practice, I'm just trying to think about how we rep that, a guy taking off and having the ball in his right hand and then running and, trying to keep him from switching it. And Malik knows that. This is not a secret, but played fast. When he took off, was decisive. Continue improving with the timing of things and making sure that he's going through his progression so that his timing is there. I'm sure he'd like to have the one back from Nick Westbrook. Probably just pulled the string on it a little bit, but also had some balls that again, Chig knows he needs to come down with. And then just the coordination of the interception of, making a great decision. If we need that ball thrown in the alley, then, if the receiver's, for whatever reason, not in the alley, not forcing it in there and knowing it's cover two and just finding a place to get rid of the football so that we're not putting it in harm's way.
That was Mike Vrabel after the game on Saturday discussing the performance of Malik Willis. Taking your thoughts on that, 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. I got some tickets to give away to see Guns N' Roses at Geodis Park coming up this Saturday. Be caller 5, 615-737-1025. Caller 5 will win a pair of tickets to see Guns N' Roses coming up at Geodis Park this Saturday. So looking forward to that. Interesting thoughts there from Vrabel after the game in terms of Willis and the running that he did in the game and just pulling the string on the NWI pass. That, like you said earlier, the NWI pass is one that, I mean, you just got to have. And I said this last week. I thought Levis and Willis missing some gimme throws that you just can't miss. And, he didn't miss a ton of them on Saturday, but got to have – you can't have those throws. Even as a backup quarterback in the NFL, you got to be able to hit the layups. And I think Levis and Willis got to get a little bit better at that as they move forward here.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not like Tannehill never misses a gimme or any other quarterback ever misses a gimme. But you got to, for the most part, 9 to 10 of those, you gotta take the gimmies. LD from McMinnville has some on the text line driven by WilsonCountyHoney.com that I think is – I'm trying to think, is it getting into the territory of should the Titans training staff be fired?
I don't know.
But look, I understand it, but I want to go through this a little bit. Is Tannehill such a jewel that he's above playing in the preseason? Seems like most of the other teams starting QBs play. Now, I don't know off the top of my head. I know I've seen Mahomes has gotten a little bit of work. Who else?
Justin Fields has played.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, like Justin Fields is a young quarterback trying to prove he can be a starter in this league. So
Russell Wilson played.
Yeah, and there's a guy who was coming off a terrible year and is in a new offense. Now, granted, Tannehill's in a new offense too. So from that perspective, you could make the case to play him. Established veteran quarterbacks, so you kind of know what they are. How many of them are playing? I'm like who isn't playing? What starters aren't playing? Do you know off the top of your head? Like Josh Allen, has he played?
Has Josh Allen played? I haven't kept up with the Bills preseason, so I couldn't tell you.
I don't think so, but I could be wrong.
Tua played.
So
apparently Rodgers might play this last one.
So he hasn't played yet.
No.
But, that sounds like ownership says, let's say he might play. Huh? What do you guys say? Huh? Let's put a memo out. It's just the old days it used to be. Again, that third preseason game, get a half. Get the ones out there for a half. No one does that. Like the Mahomes series or two and then get the heck out. How much value is there in that? I don't know. I mean, to me, I wouldn't mess with that. The way things go now, I just wouldn't want that to be the reason that you had an injury that completely altered your season and flushed it down the toilet. So – if you were going to play – the only reason – if you're going to play Tannehill, then to me you have to play Hopkins and Burke, before he got hurt.
Sure.
Like you have to play those guys. That's the value of it, right, is those guys working. But I just feel like that stuff actually is practicable. Some things aren't, like Vrabel was just talking about. As a QB, knowing you're not going to get hit as opposed to now you're in a game and you can get hit. Like there's some things that you can't translate. But I think receiver, quarterback – rhythm and timing is absolutely practices and even beyond practice when they work on their own together. I think those banked reps are more valuable than you just went out for a series against the Vikings twos. That's just me. And I don't think it's because he's a jewel and he's someone touch. It's like who needs the work? The offensive line needs the work. Give them the work. Do these guys need the work? Is the work they get in that game – is the benefit of it, does it outweigh the risk? I don't think it does.
And every time this conversation comes up, I understand the thought process behind it. I really do. But let's say Tannehill played, right? How long is he playing? Is it a series? Like, is he throwing 3 passes? Like, what's the difference? Like, there's not a ton of difference. I don't think anybody would really argue that Ryan Tannehill needs to play a half in the preseason. So, like, if Tannehill's going to be out there for a series or two, like, you can't really convince me that makes a ton of difference.
Yeah. So people are saying Josh Allen did play a series. Okay, my apologies. Okay, well, I hope that series, that's 3 more wins for the Bills this year. They played a series. Now, Jared from Spring Hill says Goff and Lawrence. I don't know if he's saying they didn't or they did. Trevor Lawrence,
I think they played.
Goff. Did they play a little bit? Yeah. I mean, look, hey, you know what? I don't think it's like some terrible thing if Tannehill comes out Friday and has a series or two. It's okay. I don't know like the fan. It's what's really interesting about this is, meanwhile, then the Colts go out, name Anthony Richardson the starter, and then don't play him a second. So they like pack the place. They're like all excited. The first chance to see him live. This is the future, and they're like, yeah, you have a seat.
Wait, what? Beauty of an interception thrown by Gardner Minshew the other night too. Just beauty.
Was that like that was like the consolation prize for Gardner? You
Yeah.
get to play the whole preseason game. What do you think, buddy? I mean, it's just that's a weird one to me. It's like, hey, I mean, I guess it's like, okay, now that we know he's a starter, he has to be healthy. But you're not going to be good.
No.
Let him play. Let him play at all times.
Well,
That's the difference.
He needs reps.
He needs reps. Like Tannehill doesn't. Again, new offense, so it is a little different. You could make a little bit of a case, but like you said, I just don't know like how much you really are getting out of that.
James on the text line says Willis had time to throw during the game. He's had enough protection, but it broke down because he couldn't find open receivers. He's playing with dudes who can't get open. Maybe more of an indictment of the receivers who are out there than Willis.
I think that's a good observation, James, because as we were talking about earlier, someone talking about how they didn't throw deep. You know, there were absolutely some play action shots called, and he didn't go to them. Now, look, without seeing the all 22, maybe there was some situations where it's like you still got to go to him, you know. But it's true. I mean, basically he was throwing to – he threw two to the starting tight end who dropped them. Those are good passes. He threw to – he missed a wide-open NWI, but, what? Racing McMath had a play. Yep. I mean, like you said earlier, like the targeting of people was like – Mason Kinsey did have some nice plays. 4 targets, 4 catches. He was the best receiver. Holmes gets one. Wiley gets a short one. Spears gets a short one. So, I don't know. I think there's some that's a fair point to make in terms of, like, some of the receivers he's playing with. Lance says his crossing route accuracy has gotten better, and I agree. Those are some of those. Those have been some of his better passes in this preseason and biggest, like, obvious differences from this year to last year.
Weston Clarksville says, I think starters not playing is why we always seem to have slow starts every season. This is from Weston Clarksville.
Again, Like, show me the team out there that's playing their starters like it's 10 years ago. It doesn't, it just doesn't happen. And also, I mean, I'm not going to waste the time to do this, but let's see the study on correlation of success. I mean, the first week of the season, half the league wins, half the league loses. Is there a correlation? Like more preseason action for the winners than the losers? I mean, I'm asking seriously. Well, I know that some teams that play people or some teams that don't play people have great performances.
Right.
I mean, let's see. The Titans, what was the Titans? Okay, obviously the last 2 years have been very bad openers at home for them. What'd they do in 20? They went and won at Denver. What'd they do in 19? They went out to Cleveland and just absolutely crushed a team that was like the most hyped team in the NFL.
By the way, we're talking about like Tannehill specifically. So Tannehill didn't play in the preseason last year. And in the first game against New York, he was 20 of 33 for 266 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. They didn't lose that game for Tannehill. They lost that game because they couldn't tackle Saquon Barkley in the second half, and their kicker missed a gimme field goal to lose the game. That's why they lost. So is that because of the preseason? Probably not.
I understand we want to make these
Arizona game
connections.
was the year before, and they didn't lose that game because Tannehill either. They lost that game because Chandler Jones had 1,500 sacks in the first game that year. I mean, that's why they lost that game.
Didn't get enough work in the preseason. You're Titans.
I mean, I guess you could argue maybe Lewan should have got there a little bit more in the preseason that year, but
or
he
maybe
was struggling.
Maybe shouldn't have played a snap of football till October.
615-737-1025, our phone number. 615-737-1025. We're out here live today at Duncan in Hendersonville, 206 Indian Lake Boulevard. We're going to be out here all show long. Come on by. We got the reopening today here in Hendersonville. Hendersonville, my beloved hometown, so glad to be out here today. Come on out, 6 to 9 a.m. We're going to be out here. You can get a free donut, so stop by. Make sure you get your free donut. Come pick that up. Come say hi to us as well. We'll have more on the Titans coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
All the big plays.
And we are done. Vandy 24-21.
All the big stories.
I'm sure Vandy will be a much better team if Clark Lee is the coach.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
What a stop by UC Sarah. Then he wouldn't end up on my team.
Driving his way to victory lane.
I think that's the right strategy.
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Baseball fans, your home for the best baseball action is 102.5 The Game and 94.9 The Fan with the ESPN Game of the Week and the Nashville Sounds. It's all brought to you by Superbook Sports, the #1 sports book in Vegas. Download the Superbook app today.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
If you compare a diamond from Genesis Diamonds to one you find somewhere else, one thing will always stand out. The Genesis diamond is, well, prettier and more brilliant.
We will show you why our diamond's light performance is significantly greater than things you can get elsewhere.
Genesis Diamonds Vice President David Cooper.
Not just because of the color and the clarity, but because of things a certificate can't tell you. Because of the characteristics, the personality, the material.
It's the extra step in quality control that comes from an owner obsessed with perfection.
Our owner is incredibly picky when he buys diamonds, searching through hundreds just to get a handful. You will not see diamonds that have the fire at your average mall store or chain store or smaller independent because they don't have the access worldwide like Genesis Diamonds does. Our diamond's light performance, character, and explosive brilliance is bar none the best your money can buy.
Don't compromise with a diamond that just looks good on paper. Get a diamond that reflects your love in the best light possible.
This diamond has to be spectacular.
Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
It's time to celebrate this fall and unleash the beast. Monster Brewing proudly presents to you Beast Unleashed. 0 caffeine, 0 sugar, all the adult beverage fun. The Beast is unleashed with great taste, bold familiar flavors, and 6% alcohol. Go wild with Mean Green, White Haze, Peach Perfect, and Scary Berries. Don't fear the Beast. Enjoy Beast Unleashed at your next tailgate or football party. Drink responsibly. Must be 21 and over.
Your Game Center update.
This is Nick Keyser. Nashville SC fell in the League's Cup final to enter Miami CF on Saturday. The game went down to goalkeepers kicking at the end of the match. So, what was head coach Gary Smith's reaction after the loss?
I would honestly say my first emotions are that we were the better team tonight. We created the better chances. And to be perfectly honest, if it wasn't for the man of the moment in their group, we would have won tonight. The goal that he scores is just incredible.
And the Tennessee Titans won their matchup over the weekend in Minnesota, taking down the Vikings 24-16, and quarterback Malik Willis went the whole game for the Titans, going 10 of 17 passing with 1 touchdown pass and 1 interception. The Nashville Sounds took down the Charlotte Knights 5-4 last night thanks to Patrick Dorian walking it off in the 9th. The Sounds are going to hit the road for the next 2 weeks, kicking off their road trip against the Gwinnett Stripers. You're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 102.5 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
And a score!
You can run different offenses.
The doors on the board. Off the field, on the field.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. On Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's showtime.
Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Nick Keyser here with you on this Monday morning. Robby and Rexrode presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty, where their advanced pay by TJ option can save you thousands when selling your home. We're out here live today at Duncan in Hendersonville, 206 Indian Lake Boulevard, the grand reopening of Duncan out here. And we're going to be out here until 9 o'clock. So come by, say hi, get you a free donut. You're out here as well. Duncan in beautiful Hendersonville, Tennessee, my hometown. Feels like home out here, Joe. It's been a fun show so far.
Yeah, and is there a cap for us on free donuts? I've had 17 so far.
I think you can get to 24.
Yeah.
I think you can do it.
One per hour in the day.
Why not? Donuts are good, man. Pretty good stuff. We'll take your thoughts all
Especially
show long.
This time of day.
Yeah, no question. 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. So we'll continue discussing Malik Willis and his performance on Saturday. Some other takeaways from the game on Saturday night. You brought up the running back position earlier. Tyjae Spears, electric in that game, 33-yard touchdown run, looked really good. And, Joe, I don't know if the Titans feel this way, but I certainly do after the first couple of weeks of the preseason. I thought Chestnut played really well against Chicago. I thought he played well last year when given the opportunity, and I thought he was awesome in this game against Minnesota. I have seen enough from Julius Chestnut where I think he ought to be the third back. Now, I get it. How many, if things go ideally, how many touches is the third running back going to get throughout the course of the year? Probably not very many. So, obviously, special teams is going to have to be a big part of it. But to me, I think the running back room is pretty clear in my mind right now. It's Henry 1, Tyjae Spears 2, and I've got Julius Chestnut at 3. I think it's over. I think it should be over, and Chestnut should be the guy.
Okay, is Hassan Haskins 4?
No, I don't have him making the team.
Okay, okay. I mean, so much of that outcome, I think, does rely on special teams. As I said, I did a new 53 today. Very exciting. And, it's like you're comparing like the receiver. Like I went light on the receiver room and heavier on the DB room, but it's about the special teams. If Haskins is valued there, I still think he makes the team, which is my guess. But I'm with you. I think Chestnut is your RB3. Now, Henry and Spears are the two guys who are going to get the ball. And if the Titans have their way, those will be the only two guys who get the ball in the backfield.
Yep.
Right? I mean, but if you did have some kind of an injury to Henry, then I think Chestnut has demonstrated he's gotten better. And I thought last year he's one of the stories at camp. But he's a little bit more of a quote-unquote camp hero, whereas I just think, I mean, look, man, some of those plays he made the other night, those are big-time NFL plays. So I'm with you. And Mike Vrabel talking about how he embodies everything they want to be about. I mean, that kind of tells you a lot there too, right? So he was a standout. Another guy who this is an interesting question for you on the camp hero front.
Okay.
Because I've been dubious through camp. I mean, you see flashes, and you're like, and obviously did some special things in college. But Caleb Murphy, and I asked Vrabel about him yesterday. The first sack he had 2. But the first sack he had, and Vrabel went through yesterday how he wished he should have done it. He gotten the ball in the second one, all that stuff. But the move he made, I don't care if it was against a JV offensive lineman. I was like, dude, that's
pretty good.
Yeah, like, we're talking about a guy who, Ferris State, in the great city of Big Rapids, Michigan, which is right around where Butch Jones is from. And Butch went to Ferris State, by the way. Right? Yes, I believe so.
Pride of Ferris State.
That's right. 25.5 sacks last year. 25.5 sacks. Again, I don't care if those are all against managers from Hope College. 25.5 freaking sacks is something else. So he's a tweener, and he's kind of smallish and stuff like that, which is kind of that's what you see sometimes. And sometimes that just doesn't translate. But I just feel like he's got too much ability to just put him on waivers, hope someone doesn't pick him up, and hope you can put him on the practice squad. So I got him making this team. I don't know. I mean, am I being the prisoner of the camp hero moment? I might be.
It's hard based on what he's done to this point. He's making it really difficult to keep him off the team. I mean, 2 sacks the other night, and like you said, he looks really good out there. It's not like it's flukes and the team's in coverage so long that the quarterback eventually just runs into him. I mean, it's this legitimate pass rush ability that we're seeing. So I don't think it's crazy. And also, like we've talked about, trying to establish some depth there. You've got Arden Key, and you've got obviously Harold Landry coming off the injury. You got Danico Autry, Jeffrey Simmons. Everybody feels great about those 4 guys in the pass rush they're going to be able to generate. But whether it's Rashad Weaver or somebody, could there be another wave of people that maybe don't get a ton of snaps, but you can have some sort of a rotation out there that you feel good about in pass rushing situations. I'm not convinced that Caleb Murphy is 100% that yet, but I don't know how you can get impressed by what we've seen to this point in the preseason. I don't think it's crazy at all to have him on the roster right now.
Yeah, and you could kind of look at him like, is he like the new Ola Daney, who was another guy came out of nowhere in camp. Should thank Dylan Radins for helping him. Got to go against Dylan Radins a couple years ago, and that looked good for him. But he was a good player. He was a good depth guy, and they needed him. They needed him in there. So yeah, to me, like in the sub package, if you had to have Caleb Murphy out there, I think he could give somebody some trouble. Another guy who is, I know somebody on the text line wanted to talk about Tier Tartan, and we'll get to that, but Sam O, which is, I'm just going to go to Sam O.
That. Yep.
He's a really interesting player too. He played a ton. He can line up inside, outside. He's kind of one of those versatile guys. He's gotten a lot better. And I sometimes I look at it like is it Sam or Caleb? Even though again you can put Sam maybe more of a D lineman, but he's another guy who brings depth, and the D line's interesting too. But Tier Tart, he dominated as someone pointed on the text line. Now, this is where who's he dominating? He's not dominating starters, so you have to keep that in mind. Also, it was interesting to me how much he played. I mean, Tier Tart is really talented and is one of the underrated players on this team. I think he's also could be in better shape than he is, and conditioning is important. Now, how much is he going to play in a given game? I think enough that you got to be in better shape. He's a guy who I think is probably going to, if he has the year that I think he could have, I think he's setting himself up for a payday.
Yep.
But you just want to keep in mind that who you're dominating a little bit.
Right.
But I know that even in practice last week there was some dominating going on with Tier Tart. He is one of the unsung guys on this team who makes a difference with that front.
How concerned are you about Kyle Phillips with the knee? And obviously an important year for him to stay healthy, but here we are. I don't think it's going to be overly serious for Kyle Phillips, but how concerned are you about him heading into the preseason now? We're talking about yet another injury situation with him.
Yeah, walking in with TD yesterday, walking into the building, he was like yeah, apparently people were coming at him like talking about Kyle Phillips' weight, and it's like, dude, it's a knee.
Yeah.
I mean, now I kind of actually I get it a little more when you're talking about shoulder. Like you just want to bulk up a little bit.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, but even huge guys get shoulder. And I agree, but I feel like, that can help maybe, avoid some injuries if you can get bigger and stronger and things like that, right? Just help you take the punishment a little bit better. But, yeah, I mean, a knee injury. It looks like it was more like helmet on knee. So, and based on the lack of, right now, moves in relation to that, I don't think this is going to – and I had people texting me yesterday, he's out for the year, isn't he? I'm like, I don't think so. But – actually, that does bring up a little bit of a hot take I have.
Okay.
Should I give it now? Do I give my hot take
Let's
now?
do it.
All right, fine. I think Mason Kinsey's gotten better. I think Mason – I know. But I'm just saying, I thought about this the other night, like if that is a major injury to Kyle Phillips. And by the way, Kyrus Jackson got hurt too. I have not been big on Kyrus Jackson having a real chance of making this team. He had to be an absurd returner to have a chance. And he's good, but I don't think he is. Now he's hurt. I'm just saying, if Kyle Phillips were to be hurt out for an extended period of time, Mason Kinsey is the number 2 slot guy. Mason Kinsey is better, and he could help this team.
Look, I agree. I think he could – I don't know that he could be Kyle Phillips, but I do think that he could have some meaningful snaps for the Titans at slot receiver. And, that's part of why I think they've kept him around on the practice squad as long as they have at this point, because they see some of that. And, hopefully Kyle Phillips is okay. And because if he's not, then you're starting to get into, all right, is he ever going to be able to stay on the field and actually help the team and those things. But I agree. I mean, Mason Kinsey, I don't think he's ever going to be like some superstar or blow you away. But I think what we saw Saturday, he could do that in a regular season game of, get open, catch the ball, move the chains. It's not probably going to make any explosive plays for you, but get open, catch the ball where it's 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, get your first down and move on. You've already moved past Racing Math. You kicked him aside, and now Mason Kinsey's your guy.
Well,
it's good to see.
I just look. If they really want a slot guy, then, and I think they do, then he's a slot guy. He's the backup there. So that's all I'm saying.
Is he under 53?
Yeah. No. But if I found out Phillips was seriously hurt, then he might be, Someone asked about returning punts, by the way.
Yep.
And, I mean, I think he's been the guy, Phillips, who has been designated for that. You got Kyrus Jackson as a possibility. You got some other guys you can throw in there, too. Couple questions on the text line about defensive backs that I think are worth getting into here, including one that I forgot is on this team.
Yep, we'll do that coming up next. 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. More on the Titans coming up next. Make sure you tune in for Nashville Sounds Baseball. Tomorrow at 6:05 on 94.9 The Fan. Sounds taking on the Gwinnett Stripers, the AAA affiliate of the Atlanta Braves. Sounds Baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by 312 Pizza Company, Farm Bureau Health Plans, and Family Leisure. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Nashville Sounds Baseball lives on 94.9 The Fan. Catch every pitch.
Swing and a miss, strike 3.
Every hit.
That's a base hit.
Every run.
Looking up, it's gone.
On your home for Sounds Baseball. 94.9 The Fan and the Fan app.
Hey, Sounds fans, Jeff M. here with your Nashville Sounds update on 102.5 The Game and 94.9 The Fan. The Sounds are off today. They're back at it tomorrow night in Gwinnett County, Georgia, to take on the Atlanta Braves AAA Stripers. The Sounds are 4 games in back of a playoff spot. They're 24-20 in the second half, and they've won back-to-back series after a walk-off win on Sunday night at First Horizon Park. The Sounds led Charlotte 4-0 early, but the Knights tied the game in the 7th inning, and it set the stage for Patrick Dorian in the bottom of the 9th. And Dorian lines a base hit to right, heading around third. Jones, here he comes. Reyes fires. It's offline. Sounds win. Patrick Dorian does it. First pitch tomorrow night from Gwinnett at 6:05 Central Time. The pregame at 5:50 for the Sounds and the Stripers. This is Jeff Hem with your Sounds update on 102.5 The Game and 94.9 The Fan.
We're losing too many of our friends, neighbors, and loved ones to fentanyl poisoning. Nearly 75% of overdose deaths in Nashville involve fentanyl, but you can save a life with training and naloxone. STARS, Nashville's regional overdose prevention specialists, are here to teach you how to recognize and respond to an overdose and how you can save a life. Call 615-393-6980 or visit starsnashville.org. This project is funded under a grant contract with the State of Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
Hey, it's John Tesh. You know why insurance companies use all those cute and funny characters? To distract you from realizing you're only getting one option. If you want to compare prices, you're forced to visit multiple websites just to get one quote at a time. But not with Xander Insurance, because they work for you. Xander is a broker that shops dozens of top companies to find the best competitive rates for the coverage you need, and they keep reviewing your policy every year to make sure you're getting the best value. They're always available to answer questions, handle problems, and make sure that when it comes to insurance, your life is simple and hassle-free. You even have direct access to their senior management team. If your current company or agent doesn't do this much for you, let Xander Insurance help. Compare rates online at Xander.com or call 800-356-1780 for that personal touch. When Xander works for you, you're going to see the difference. Again, that's 800-356-1780, or you can visit Xander.com with no characters needed.
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game and on Instagram at 1025 The Game Nashville.
Hey!
Oh, yeah, and like us on Facebook, too. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode.
It's part of this nutritious breakfast.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063 The Game, streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by Superbook. Nick Keyser holding down the fort, live from our 1025 The Game studios. Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Pro Golf coming to Nashville this September 14th through the 17th with the Simmons Bank Open at the Grove Club. Text the keyword OPEN, that's O-P-E-N, OPEN, to 615-737-1025 and be entered for a win a weekend pass for 4 to enjoy the event in style, including food and drink as well. Again, text OPEN to 615-737-1025. Joe Rexrode, you had a couple of questions regarding Titans defensive backs that you wanted to get to on the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Yeah, and I want to apologize for the text line is popping, so sometimes I'm trying to find who asked it. Well, someone asked about Eric Garor, and again, if he makes this team, I promise I'll learn his name. I think he may fall into the camp hero category. I could be wrong, but he's been out there a lot. He makes plays. He's very physical for sure. I like what I see. I'm not sure I've got him making this team, but some of those guys are interesting. Look, Anthony Kendall, been talking about him since the beginning of camp, and I didn't see him. It took him a while to get out there the other night, which that may tell you something. But Vrabel mentioned him yesterday in terms of his special team stuff, and that's what it's about. I mean, for those guys, that's what it's all about. They are battling to be so indispensable, so valuable in that aspect of the game that they make the team. So, but I think he's worth bringing up, and certainly he's made himself noticed without question.
Yep.
Someone asked about, will Caleb Farley be on this team? So right now he's on PUP.
Yep.
So he doesn't count. Now, he was around. It looks like maybe he's starting to – I've seen more of Radens out there kind of working, like during practice off to the side, than I have Farley. But I know Farley was around this week. Could he be getting closer to returning? Should have asked Vrabel about that yesterday. He would have given us the exact time.
He would have.
But, Farley's going to be on this team when he's active. I believe. I mean, you're talking about, I believe, so according to Over the Cap, it's $4.3 million in dead money. So, right? I mean, his cap hit this year is 3.7. So, I mean, so essentially, you would. I mean, it's about half of that is what you'd have to pay him. I think he's going to be on this team. What role will he have? Can he help at all? Is it just, I suppose you could take the hit if there's just no hope at all for him. But I think he'll be on the team, and it may be helping the kicking game. I don't know.
If they don't feel like he can realistically help them,
you can cut him.
Cut him. I mean, I know it's a pretty significant dead cap hit that you're taking at that point. But if you don't feel like he's capable of helping you this year, cut it.
Well,
or
is the question more ever? Because there is still, right? Like maybe you don't think this year, but you do think that, there's still a player in there. I don't know if
it's not going to be this year, I don't know when it's going to be.
Well, it's coming off the ACL.
I know. But, I mean, this is year 3.
Right.
So if it's not going to be – if it's not this year, when's it going to be?
Well, it would have to be next year.
But
I'm not saying it will be, but I'm just saying with you coming off the ACL, I mean, it's a Hail Mary of can he actually go through – now he's off the ACL and all the other stuff, and can he actually be healthy and be next year after all this health be the player? I mean, that's – because realistically, I don't think – he's not going to help him this year. So if you're just based on this year, then I agree with you, but I think you have to – ask yourself, okay, is there a Hail Mary that in year 4 he could become a player? I mean, I personally would be surprised by that. I mean, I think I'd be surprised about the health thing in the first place.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's not gonna. I suppose you could, if he fully cleared, he looks good out there and all that stuff. You could have him on the roster, and then if and when you have these injuries at corner that you so often do. Well, maybe at some point this year he could help you. But, yeah, it's right now, I think between health and performance, it seems pretty remote.
I just, with a new general manager in here now, I think the time for waiting is done with him. I just do. And I don't, obviously they're way smarter than me, and Vrabel – I think was sincere in his praise for Caleb Farley and the work that he put in prior to last season, right? He won the offseason award. He did everything in the offseason that they wanted him to do, and then he got out there in the regular season, and he just couldn't do it. Like he was getting beat deep left and right. At times it looked like he didn't really know where to be out there and what he was doing. And then you have another back injury, and you start to think back to all the injuries that have compiled. Had an ACL in college, had an ACL in the pros, back problems in college, now back problems in the pros. Like, from an injury perspective, it's just hard to imagine him really ever getting there. But performance-wise, too, like, to me, if he's not helping you this year, I don't have any interest if I'm the Titans in holding on for another year to next year either.
Yeah. I mean, history revisionists, such as one in particular, who don't remember that he actually had a couple good weeks at least of camp last year. He showed something. He showed some speed and some physicality and the size. I mean, he's got some gifts that are absolutely attractive for an NFL cornerback, But, yeah, look, I can't disagree. Like, the idea that he is suddenly going to put all this behind him and find a long stretch of health and be an effective player seems pretty remote. Yeah, but it's one of those things in the building. First of all, like, okay, what's the diagnosis? Can he be fully recovered? I mean, how's the back? I don't know. It's the ACL now, but how's the back? Is all this time on the shelf? Does that help that?
Well, it's the back now, isn't it?
It's ACL, right?
I think it's a back. I don't think it's ACL.
Okay. Well, I could be wrong, but I was pretty sure he tore his ACL last year.
I don't think so. It was the year before.
Okay. Well, this is the thing. We're getting confused on Caleb Farley's injuries. Well, he's had both. He's had multiple of both, right?
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. So, yeah, look, it's to go back to the original question, is he on the team? Yeah, I think so. I think he's on the team this year. Once he comes off PUP, right now he doesn't count. Maybe he's on PUP for an extended period of time while they just try to, like it's a longer rehab because it's all this stuff, and they can not have him count. But, it's at this point, if Caleb Farley has any kind of NFL career, it's an upset, big upset.
Yeah, no question about that. And then, secondary-wise, the big question I actually think they've got decent depth at corner right now. Like, safety is the one where, like, if somebody goes down, that's when you start to worry about it a little bit. But, like, I think corner-wise, I feel okay about where they're at right now from a depth perspective with corner. Like, to your point, Caleb Farley has become an afterthought because, he's not been available at this point. So, you got Sean Murphy-Bunting that you brought in. You've got Christian Fulton. You've got, Roger McCreary, all these people that you've signed. I just think that they're in a spot at corner right now where I just don't see him being a factor as they move in. And it's a shame because I'm with you. Like, you watch some of his tape in college, and even some plays that he's made in the NFL so far, and you're like, okay, he can run. Like, the speed that he's got is pretty good. That combination of size and speed at the corner position, it's hard to find, which is why he was drafted where he was drafted, right? I mean, we talked about in the draft process.
Well, he would have been a top 10 pick.
Right. Like, he had not played a ton of corner, but the physical tools that he brought to the table was why he was drafted where he was. It's just been a really unfortunate string of injuries, and it's hard to imagine that getting better. And look, and then there's the Dylan Radins part of this too, right? Like, is there going to be a point in time this year where he's recovered from the ACL and he's ready to give them meaningful snaps, or at least in a reserve role for the Titans? I don't know.
Yeah, and I think he's got a chance to factor in as like the ninth guy or something like that. I still believe with Dylan Radins, but I apologize. You were right. It is the back. So it was back ACL 21 last year, so he had back surgery, as Josh said. As Josh and Will both said, the sciatica acting up again. But, yeah, and that's another back surgery. I mean, hey, good for him. It would be an incredible story if he somehow gets through all this. But, I mean, what are the odds? They're pretty long.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll have more on the Titans, some takeaways from the game against Minnesota coming up next. We will also have our first trivia question of the week coming up next for the first spot in the third annual Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League. Looking forward to that coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
He breaks down every game.
The players are still going to be fine.
And knows the ins and outs of the two-tone blue.
They deal with their own position coaches.
He is ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter Teron Davenport.
It's clear what he's doing.
TD joins every Monday at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast.
I think that's really cool how he could show both sides.
TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey folks, Joe Rexrode here talking PhD weight loss. Went into the program with a goal losing 38, lost 39. In maintenance right now. PhD has a great plan for maintenance too. Food items are fantastic, no pills, gimmicks, anything like that. Feels good, feels sustainable, and that's a huge thing for people who want to lose weight, right? You want to keep it off. You don't want to hit that plateau and they just kind of quit and move on to the next thing. This is a plateau busting program. It is constant care. My coach Rachel helps me a ton. It's a program that's designed for you, custom made, and it's tweaked for you as you go through the process. Your coach, you're motivated. You know what's happening with your body too. And getting rid of that visceral fat that can do so much damage is a huge key to a healthy life. This is simple and easy. You have weekly phone discussions with the coach, and there's a guarantee. If you don't get within 5 pounds of that target weight at the end of the program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. Join me now. You won't regret it. Visit myphdweightloss.com.
Baseball fans, your home for the best baseball action is 102.5 The Game and 94.9 The Fan with the ESPN Game of the Week and the Nashville Sounds. It's all brought to you by Superbook Sports, the #1 sports book in Vegas. Download the Superbook app today.
The path to the PGA Tour runs through Middle Tennessee. The Simmons Bank Open returns September 14th through 17th as part of the Korn Ferry Tour Finals. Catch all the exciting golf action and still not miss a minute of your favorite team's game in the Arctic Tailgate Village. Swing by the Sand Trap and take your shot at the famous floating Guitar Island Green while grabbing a bite from Hattie B's, Hogwood Barbecue, Dream Burger, and wash it down with a cold fashion from Nelson's Greenbrier. Purchase your tickets now at SimmonsBankOpen.com.
Oh, Charlie's, that's where you find me. That southern flavor got me saying, hey, y'all. Young, young, have some fun, share with the ones you love. Don't you wanna roll?
At O'Charlie's, we thought you'd enjoy a little country rock and rolls. The warm, buttery, delicious kind. Served free with every meal. O'Charlie's. Oh, that's good.
Young, young, have some fun, Charlie's. Born in Nashville and it shows.
Get in on the conversation at 615-737-1025. The Game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com.
Insightful discussion.
When we talk about the person that these players are.
3 goals scored in the first 5 minutes.
He wants to be the starter day one.
Mixed with spirited debate.
Okay, but Derek, let's Professor Derek.
They are Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. With Caroline Fenton, Willie Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
We got the whole thing covered. We got it all covered.
Here.
Weekdays at 11 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What's up, Nashville? This is Stephen A. Smith. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode. Nick Keyser here with you on this Monday morning. We are live out in Hendersonville, Tennessee at Duncan, the reopening of Duncan at 206 Indian Lake Boulevard. We're going to be out here until 9 a.m. Got gift cards to give away. Pumpkin is in. Sign up for rewards and receive $5 gift cards and fun Duncan giveaways while supplies last. Again, 206 Indian Lake Boulevard out here in Hendersonville, Tennessee. Joe and I will be out here until 9 o'clock, so looking forward to seeing y'all out here today. A recently remodeled next-gen Duncan location, so looks really good in here. Hope you guys can make it out. 206 Indian Lake Boulevard here on Robby and Rexrode. Joe, it is that time to give away our first spot for the 3rd annual Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League. We've had 2 years of the league to this point. I won the first year. Brennan Rexrode won the second year. So
two very cocky people.
Two very cocky people
humbled.
that may or may not be humbled in the Fantasy Football League this year. We'll see what happens. But it's time for our listeners to step the game up a little bit. We need a listener to see if they can challenge for a title as we get in. We're about to give away our first spot. We're going to give away 8 spots this year, so we're going to have a 12-team league. Myself, Joe Rexrode, Nick Keyser, Brennan Rexrode returning as the champion. 4 spots I've spoken for. We got 8 to give away to our listeners, and we're going to have a draft at Twin Peaks coming up. We'll have more information on that here in the next few days. But we'll give away 5 spots this week, 3 spots next week, and we'll have our fantasy football draft shortly before the beginning of the regular season. And today's spot comes down to this trivia question. We talked about this earlier, Joe. The Titans have had more success in the playoffs on the road than they have at home. When was the last time the Titans won a home playoff game, and who was it against? When was the last time the Titans won a home playoff game, and who was the opponent? If you know the answer, hit up our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. The first person to correctly guess the answer will be our first winner in the Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League, the first spot available today.
I got to say, I have known this, and yet when you asked the question, I looked it up, and I was like, oh, my gosh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I want to see some fast, accurate answers here. This always gets competitive.
People are fired up about the Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League, so we appreciate that. We'll keep you updated. Again, the last time the Titans won a home playoff game and the opponent. If you know the answer, 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Joe, any more takeaways from the game on Saturday? Titans win 24-16 in Minnesota, game 2 of the preseason. We've talked a lot about Malik Willis, the running back position. Obviously not a ton of starters playing on the defensive side of the ball, but Titans' run defense is going to be pretty ferocious again this year, I think. It's pretty hard to run the ball against the Titans. Shout out to Ty Chandler, by the way, 11 carries, 24 yards, 2-2 a carry.
Yeah, no doubt. Tart's out there getting some serious work and blowing people up left and right. I am interested on defensive line, as I said, and we'll delve into that. Exciting, scintillating 53 later, but
looking forward to it.
Jaden Peavy is a guy who I think has kind of established himself. Naquan Jones, a guy who has been a little banged up, and you wonder about him making the team. I mean, I think that he has been a nice find for this team, but there is other competition there. Another guy who, Vrabel just said yesterday, just not available. But Monty Rice, something happened to him in the Bears game, which I think was part of the low number of snaps, and then he wasn't around at all last week. So there's a guy who trying to compete with Jack Gibbons. Look, I don't watch Jack Gibbons and say, oh, man, that guy is, Brian Urlacher. I feel like you want competition there, and Monty Rice right now isn't, around to provide it. So what's the situation there? A guy who, for a second straight preseason, I really like what he does, both when he gets a chance to play defense and in the kicking game, is Chance Campbell. The guy moves around and makes plays. There's so little evaluation on defense right now because it's a guy here and there, and then everybody else is just put that hat on, put that baseball hat on. They're going to be very good. Very interesting that Vrabel mentioned yesterday Harold Landry possibly playing Friday.
Yeah.
I would not have guessed that at all. For a guy coming off an ACL, but that'll be interesting. That definitely goes against the idea that Vrabel he just has no use at all for these preseason games. He just wants to avoid injury, right?
Yeah.
If Landry plays. Of course, it'll also probably re-spark these screams of why Tannehill isn't playing. It's a great controversy of the preseason 2023.
Well, I can't wait for the curveball on Friday, and Tannehill comes out and plays the whole first half and the first series into the second half. Like they used, remember the old, back when I remember McNair used to play. He'd play the whole first half, and then they come out and have the first series of the second half just because you want to, quote, know what it's like coming out of the locker room. And I was like, yeah, I think Steve McNair probably knows what it's like coming out of the locker room. Get ready for the regular season. But that's what they used to do. A whole half and then the first series of the second half.
It was glorious, man. It was glorious. I've
told
then they
took the starters out and the whole stadium leaves and you get the mass exodus down to the front row if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
And now it's like, well, come on out if you like. It seems like that Vikings crowd, you just watch on TV, watch the SC and the Titans game. You can tell, crowd. It seemed like the Vikings crowd was very excited.
Yeah.
Like they had a good crowd. They were into it. And it's like, go Nick Mullins.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, we have a winner on our trivia question. Josh on the text line, the winner, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Last time the Titans won a home playoff game.
An avalanche of correct answers, but not quite as fast as Josh.
A lot of participation on the text line. It was actually the 2002 season. but the game was on January 11th, 2003. So I think it was divisional round.
Yeah.
Titans-Steelers back in 2003, the last time they won a home playoff game, which I remember I think we discussed when they hosted the Bengals last, which has been a long time since the Titans won a home playoff game, and it has been literally 20 years since the Titans have won a home playoff game. Hard to believe.
And I think so. That's the team that ended up getting thumped by the Raiders in the AFC
Yep.
title game, right on the road. Yeah,
Yep.
the Rich Gannon Raiders. Yeah, that is amazing.
Yeah,
it really is.
Well, and they've not had a ton since then. I mean, they had the Baltimore game in 08.
The 08 team.
For the 08 team. You had, obviously, the Baltimore game
Another
again
Baltimore
here at home,
game.
the Cincinnati game here at home. I think those are the only three that they've had at home since then, which is not good.
No, that's not good. But, again, it's like now, as I say this, the Preds won the Western Conference Finals in the city of Nashville. But it does feel like a lot of the good things happen away. For local teams happen away from the city.
That has been the case. We'll have more spots to give away in the Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League all week long, so make sure you stay tuned in for that. We'll have 4 more spots this week, 3 spots next week, and that will round out our Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League, so looking forward to that. I said this earlier, I don't think we got a good read on the kickers. I mean, Trey Wolf ends up 1 for 1 kicking. That was a 22-yard field goal. Like you said, he banked one in off the post with an extra point. Caleb Shudak, only 1 attempt on the night was an extra point. He hit it. But overall, I don't know that we discovered a whole lot about the kicking game on Saturday, which is disappointing. I would have liked to have seen, both guys get an opportunity, maybe from 35-plus out, at least 40 out would be a good time to see that. But didn't see it on Saturday. Michael Badgley's been released by Washington, so add another name to the veteran. Add another name to the veteran kicker list.
He's been here.
I'm really interested to see what this last week looks like there, how confident are Vrabel and the Titans and Craig Aukerman in the kicking that we're seeing to this point in training camp.
To me, it's gone back around to Caleb Shudak as the favorite, but I think it's more a favorite by default. Trey Wolf missing the 48-yarder, pushing that extra point, and doinking that in, but he just hasn't been solid enough here. So I think it's Shudak's job if one of them is going to win it. I just don't know if Shudak still has to win it.
Yeah.
And he didn't have an opportunity Saturday. So if you're him, it's like, yeah, great, I got an extra point and I made it. Like, what do you want me to do? But I think it'll be interesting. Like, do they start shifting focus to a little bit like, okay, Caleb, win the job now? Or, do they continue to just kind of go back and forth? Right now, I think Wolf's just faded here. It's not a ton of opportunity, but you have those precious few reps that you got to take advantage of them.
No question. And look, we talked about on Friday a lot about kicker and just how important it is to get that part of it figured out. And if you don't do it, could that be the difference in a game or two this year in a division that we think is going to be really tight with Jacksonville and Tennessee? Like, that could end up being the difference. And there was so much to point to last year. I mean, look, they fired the general manager halfway through the season when they were 7-5, and it collapsed after that. They lost 7 games in a row. They had a ton of injuries. So it's not like it was all coming down to kicking last year. But, Randy Bullock makes one kick against New York, and you won the division, and you're not having to worry about that last game. So that's how thin the margin can be in the NFL when it comes to that position.
Yeah, and that's just troubling for this team. They can go out and find someone. I think it's absolutely possible they can find someone better than either of these two guys,
Yeah.
Now, look, what I know some Titans fans are going to expect is that's what they'll do, and they'll go get an okay veteran and be okay but not great, and then Shudak will go somewhere and be a 10-year star, And that's the thing. You don't want to let that go if you've got that, but I think he's got to show more to believe it.
615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, it is time for the Rob Rant here on Robby and Rick.
I'm not going to Alabama or Georgia.
Or the NFL.
I think that this team wins the AFC South.
Trevor knows. Join ESPN's Trevor Maddich every Tuesday at 4:30 on Stillman & Company as he gives his opinions on the latest from the gridiron.
I'm going to the team where I can get a ring.
Trevor Maddich brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, where experience matters, on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Attention all fire and safety line experts. Middle Tennessee's fastest growing fire protection company is looking for experienced service technicians, designers, and sprinkler system experts like you. Tired of working for a large corporate employer? Work for a company where you're more than just a number. Jarrett Fire Protection is owned and operated by Nashville natives and wants to invite you to grow with their amazing team.
Hi, I'm Jason Jarrett, owner of Jarrett Companies. I'm looking to hire experienced sprinkler experts and will offer a sign-on bonus of up to $5,000 for certified professionals. In addition to our great benefits that include a 401k match, PTO, and top pay with annual bonuses, we will also provide you with the top-of-the-line tools, trucks, and equipment that you need to grow your career. Our customer base is large and business is booming with many opportunities for advancement. Give us a call or go online to jarrettfire.com and apply today to become a member of our family and protect our community. That's JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, where we are above and beyond industry standards.
There are ordinary hotels, and there's the Four Seasons. There are ordinary cars, and there's the Rolls-Royce. There are ordinary handbags, and there's Gucci. There are ordinary engagement rings, and there's Genesis. A Genesis diamond ring is unlike any other. Artistic, innovative design, handcrafted precision, exceptional detail and quality. This is why people who work at other jewelers come to Genesis for their rings. A Genesis ring is considered the gold standard in bridal, with no compromises, no cut corners, nothing short of perfection. We have the look, the style every woman dreams about. At Genesis, you'll find dozens of exclusive world-class bridal designers who are revered for their attention to detail, exceptional vision, and superior craftsmanship. A Genesis ring rises to the occasion, reflecting her style, her unique personality, her confidence, her individuality. In a world filled with ordinary, for this moment, choose extraordinary. Choose Genesis. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, and Cool Springs.
It's a long summer. But don't worry. Hockey will be back soon. You'll hear every slap shot, save, hit, and of course,
Knocked down in front, rebound, and the score!
On your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app. Is it October yet? You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Don't make me angry.
Sometimes you have to tell someone to pound sand.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
This is the Rob Rant. Now on Robby and Rexrode.
In round 11. Saved by Calendar! It's over! Miami finishes the script! The first ever Leagues Cup champions are Lionel Messi and Inter Miami!
Miami gets it done on Saturday. They take down Nashville SC and PKs. It is that time of the day, time for the robbery. By the way, I don't know who was calling that, but my gosh, were they excited on that one.
Yeah, you know.
Reminds me of like Nick Keyser when he's calling Milwaukee Admirals hockey.
You know, a lot of times fans complain about announcers being biased against their team and for the other team.
Yep.
That did sound a little fanish. That was a little fanish.
Jeez, going nuts. Miami wins the Leagues Cup final on Saturday night at Geodis Park. And my rant today is a little bit less of a rant. I mean, it's more of a rant at myself. Saturday night was it was the first time I've made it over to Geodis Park. So, look, I've been going to Nashville SC games for a while. Like we were talking, we got tagged in a tweet last week about Nashville FC at the time, a fan-owned little club team playing their first game in Knoxville at Tennessee Soccer Stadium. I remember being there for that, and you know they were in the NPSL and used to play games over at Vanderbilt's football stadium, and there's like 125 of us in the stands watching them play. It was really fun to do all those things, but just from life getting in the way, I had not made it over to Geodis yet. Quite frankly, some of it was because of I knew the parking was a disaster over there, and I can confirm after Saturday night it kind of is a disaster over there. But it was really cool to be there on Saturday just for that environment. And look, people were still arguing this last night about where that event itself ranks in terms of sporting events that have taken place in our city. And we talked about this the other day. Like, you know, it's hard to convince me that it's bigger than a Stanley Cup final or even a Western Conference final with the Predators or a divisional playoff game with the Titans. I mean, NFL is the best football league in the world. NHL is the best hockey league in the world. And I know this was Leagues Cup, so it's not just the MLS, but you're not talking about the top soccer leagues in the world when you're talking about this competition. I will say, though, having Messi in there, the eyeballs on that game, the Apple TV stuff, which I know people around here, it's really annoying at times for, you have to go sign up for Apple TV to watch the game. Worldwide, since Messi has come over, that part of it's been a huge hit, and he gets a part of that TV money from Apple TV with his contract in MLS. Apparently a ton of people watching the game the other night between Nashville and Miami around the world just for Lionel Messi, and deservedly so. The goal he scored was unbelievable in the first half of that game the other night. I thought Nashville SC was the better team in the second half. They had a couple of good opportunities late in the game to win it, weren't able to convert. They had a nice what really kind of amounted to a 2-on-1 with Sam Surridge and Hani Mukhtar late in the second half. And I thought that was going to be the one where they took the lead, but weren't able to get it done. They go to penalty kicks, and the penalty kicks go, deep enough to where the goalkeepers have to be the one kicking. So you're talking about as close of a margin as you can really get in the difference between a championship and not for Nashville SC. I thought the environment was great. 30,000 people there. It was sold out. It was loud from the beginning. It was just a really fun night. And I know, nobody wants to be second place. Nobody wants to, have any moral victories or anything like that. And I get all that. I just thought even in the loss, I thought Saturday night was an incredible night for Nashville SC in terms of the visibility of their product, both nationally around the world, but especially here locally. I mean, there was a lot of buzz about that game heading into the game. My friend and I got an Uber on the way down there. It's all the Uber driver was talking about was Nashville SC and the game and all those things. So I thought Saturday night was a really good night for soccer in this city. And I know that they didn't win the game and you're looking for hardware and all those things, but I just thought it was an incredible environment, an incredible soccer game. And if you haven't made it out to Geodis Park yet, I would encourage you to go do it because it was a really fun time on Saturday.
Yeah, no, well said, and it's awesome that you went. I think it's an incredible moment. I have an issue with people saying this is like flat out the biggest sporting event in the history of the city.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Let me ask you this. Let's say this is the Leagues Cup final against just some other team, or Inter Miami without Messi or just any other team. Leagues Cup. It's the Leagues Cup final. It's for hardware. What is that? I mean, Messi.
He's a big part.
Made a huge, and so again, now Messi brings in those global eyeballs. So for sure, like there's no doubt. You look at that and say that's a big deal. It was a big deal. Had they won against him and won the Leagues Cup, the very first Leagues Cup trophy, would that be bigger than winning MLS Cup this year?
I don't think so.
No,
it's a championship, right? But it's not. It's the we talked about this with the NBA with the in-season tournament they've got coming up. It's just a different thing, right? So if the Charlotte Hornets go out and win the NBA in-season tournament, how many people are going to remember that? It's different with this because it is soccer has this ingrained in it of in-season tournaments, and the Leagues Cup is not the only in-season tournament these leagues have. But I agree with you. It's not it. Messi makes this a huge deal, and had they won, I think that would have been why it was such a big deal. In addition to winning hardware and the quote first championship that they've won in pro sports here in the city, I think who they would have beaten would have made it a massive deal.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was massive. There's no doubt, but the comparisons I wrote about them. We talked about last year. The last week or even if you want to go from the beginning of the Leagues Cup to the finish, it did not compare to what happened in this city with the Stanley Cup final.
No.
I mean, I'm sorry.
No.
It just didn't. I mean, I don't like. I will not. I just won't hear that. I just completely disagree. Now, I do want to say I'm glad you brought that up. By the way, because Sean Henry texted me, and it was unfortunately before I got it before the show ended, but I did not. We need to correct ourselves.
Okay.
Because there is a professional sports championship in Nashville. Nashville Stampede won the championship last year.
That is true.
And Sean also offered his services to be hired as a fact checker, which I said we will pay you in coffee. But so that is something to keep in mind. But, Teresa Walker got into this on Twitter yesterday with some people. She was like, Music City Miracle. That's an interesting one, too, because that's remembered forever because of the what happened in the game, right?
Right.
I mean, other than that, it's just a divisional round game against the Bills.
That was a wild card, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was a wild – yeah, exactly. A wild card game against quarterback Rob Johnson and the Bills.
Yeah, exactly.
But what happened in the field of play or in the arena of play is what is enduring. So it's interesting, too. Like that, to me, you're comparing that. I mean, look, Colton Sissons getting a hat trick to send the Preds to the freaking Stanley Cup final? No.
Yeah, it's just different.
That has not been equaled.
No, it is not. Now, we got asked earlier about the crowd Saturday and the split and what it looked like. I mean, I'm terrible at assigning percentages to things like that. If I had to assign one, though, I would say 75% at least Nashville SC fans. There were a lot of Messi jerseys. I mean, you would expect that with a superstar to his level coming in, but I thought it was clearly home field advantage for Nashville SC. The crowd was great. And, look, Gary Smith, I think, said it best after the game, Joe. I thought Nashville SC was the better team, and they gave Lionel Messi about 10 seconds of room, and he made him pay for it. I mean, that's what it was. I mean, go back and watch that goal. It's an absurd play by him, and he goes around Walker Zimmerman. I mean, you're talking about a two-time MLS Defender of the Year. He goes around Walker Zimmerman. He's on his left foot, and he just bends it back into the side right underneath the bar there. I mean, you're talking about one of 5 or 6 people around the world that can make that shot. I mean, it's an incredible play by him. And, Gary Smith, I think, called him the man of the match after, it's just what he is. Like, if they don't have Lionel Messi, Nashville SC wins, and it's a different story, but they do, and that's why he's the best soccer player of all time.
If they didn't have Lionel Messi, Miami wouldn't have been there. But if they didn't have Lionel Messi and they were there, then you would have been able to get in that building at a pretty nice price, right? I mean, it's just such a different thing because of his presence. But that's what's amazing is that you still have this guy who, the greatest of all time, I think most soccer people would agree with that, who's still playing at a high level. That's what's amazing about it.
Well, and then finishing it off with penalty kicks, getting all the way down to the goalkeepers was quite something. I mean,
if you're going to do penalty kicks, you got to be able to have some goalies.
A lot of goals in the PKs, not a ton of saves that were made on either side in the PKs on Saturday. Which, hey, I was wondering, at some
Zimmerman
point,
went right down the middle. That's what you do, man. That's what I do every time.
Right down the middle, just watch them.
They're going to dive one way or the other.
Yeah. I was wondering, at some point, like if they just keep going and keep scoring, you ever move this thing back? Going from a little bit further back,
make them a little bit.
What are we doing?
A little smaller.
But I'll be honest with you, I was unaware until it happened that the goalies were allowed to kick and that they had to kick. So when I saw the Miami goalie rolling out there, I was like, oh, this is happening, huh? He's getting out there to kick, and then I guess ours is going up next. But didn't work.
The Preds need to get UC Saros out there one time. Yeah. I mean, I'd rather watch him take a penalty shot than, Ryan Johansson take 9 minutes to skate around and do
the slow Joe?
Do ice capades. Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, the thing is, you get in the aftermath of this tournament if you're Nashville SC, and now you got the rest of your MLS season to finish off. They're going to make the playoffs, and they're going to have a run at trying to win the MLS Cup. So all this energy that you focused on this tournament, it's been so great for the city, and now you got to kind of lock back in and get ready for the rest of your stretch run here.
Get back to your day job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's one of those soccer brain. I don't have soccer brain, so it's kind of hard
to learn
for me.
Soccer brain.
Yeah. I think you added some soccer brain the other night.
I did. It was a fun time, really fun time at Geodis Park, and saw a lot of y'all out there too. Thanks for coming up and saying hi. So appreciate that and the support for the show. But really enjoyed myself at Geodis Park. If you haven't made it out to a game yet, I would encourage you to go check it out. By the way, one underrated part of this, and I was talking about this with a buddy last night. The concourses at Geodis Park, very wide. It's awesome. You're not getting jammed up with people. Enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the game day experience.
Concourse width is very important.
Very, very good stuff. 615-737-1025, our phone number. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Corey Curtis from News 2. We'll get his thoughts on the Titans in their preseason game against Minnesota on Saturday night. That's next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 1025-1063, The Game.
All the big plays.
Rebound, fly out in front, and Saros covers it up.
All the big stories.
Andrew Burnett reportedly hired as the next head coach of the Predators.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air.
Comparing goalies to running backs.
46-27 Vanderbilt.
Does this group of players need more?
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
This year, Boys and Girls Club of Middle Tennessee celebrates its 120th anniversary. Through time, BGCMT continues to evolve to enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible leaders. Because of your continued support, BGCMT has remained strong and is committed to supporting our youth and solidifying our mission and culture in new exciting ways for 120 years. Visit bgcmt.org today.
Men, at the Tennessee Men's Clinic, our urologists and providers have been helping guys with erectile dysfunction and other sexual health issues for years. And unlike some, at the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we take a comprehensive approach to your sexual health. Our sole focus is to treat ED and related conditions. ED can be affected by a bunch of things, from hormones, prostate issues, medical conditions, and even simply aging. The fact is, most guys experience it at some point in life. If you're suffering with ED, it's extremely important to see a provider that understands how your medical conditions, hormone levels, and other factors can impact your ability to have sex. That's why you should come to the Tennessee Men's Clinic, where we have treatments that are effective in nearly 90% of cases. I can't tell you how many guys we've seen that thought their situation was hopeless, only to be wildly surprised. So give us a call today. We'll do some blood work with a T-check and a medical consult to give you the best shot at success. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. We have 2 offices, Midtown and Franklin.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra, results vary.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway. Now here's Jim Mitchell.
Our fleet vehicle program is a great benefit to all the fleet companies in Nashville. We are able to get their vehicle back on the road a lot quicker than the downtime of most dealers and most general repair shops, simply because we have the transmissions available. We're able to put priority on their vehicles to get them back on the road quickly.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway.
Your Game Center update.
This is Nick Keyser. The Tennessee Titans leaned on quarterback Malik Willis to be the starter for the Tennessee Titans in Week 2 of the preseason. So, what did head coach Mike Vrabel have to say about his pocket passer's performance?
But played fast. When he took off, was decisive. Continue improving with the timing of things and making sure that he's going through his progression so that his timing is there. I'm sure he'd like to have the one back from Nick Westbrook. Probably just pulled the string on a little bit.
And the Titans' joint practices this week versus the New England Patriots in Nashville have been canceled following the Isaiah Bolden injury on Saturday. The Two-Tone Blues still have one final preseason game to play on Friday versus New England. And the Atlanta Braves fell 4-3 yesterday to end their weekend series versus the San Francisco Giants. The Braves outscored the Giants 13-9 overall on the weekend and now turn their attention to the New York Mets for the next 3 games at home. You're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 102.5 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
79-52 Vanderbilt.
I think he's got a coach
shot by Cheryl.
You're going to see more moves.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. On Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's showtime.
Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Nick Keyser here with you on this Monday morning, talking Titans. And to help us do that, let's go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in our friend Corey Curtis from News 2. Corey, good morning. I haven't talked to you in like 3 weeks. It's been a giant void in my life that I'm glad we're filling this morning.
It has been, hasn't it? I feel badly for you.
Yes, thank you.
But I would like to be called Uncle Corey. Now on.
Yes, we could do that.
was going to say, I mean, you do have a daughter now.
Yeah.
Aren't you happy about that at least?
I am happy about that. Can confirm and happy about that. Uncle Corey with us here on the program. Corey, we talked about the performance of Malik Willis throughout the show so far today.
Yep.
What were your thoughts on how Malik played on Saturday, your takeaways from his game, where we saw a whole lot of Malik Willis in the game on Saturday for the Titans?
There were a couple of throws where the accuracy was kind of strikingly bad. And that's, I don't think, entirely unexpected. It's just something that has to continue, to get better. And when you say, why it was a bad throw, a lot of times, footwork and some of that stuff can be based to it. And that's definitely all stuff that can be coached. I thought he got better as the game went on. As he got his legs more incorporated into the game, I felt like he got more confident in what he was doing in the game, and I kind of thought he picked up some confidence and played better from that aspect. But whether it was Malik or it was the wide receivers outside of Mason Kinsey, I was really disappointed in their lack of ability to get involved in the offense at all. I mean, Reggie Roberson and Trayshawn Harrison and Gavin Holmes and all those guys who have looked good at times in camp were complete no-shows in the offense. Who to blame, I'm not sure. I don't think there was a ton of separation there. But that was a disappointing aspect of an offense that, rushed for almost 300 yards.
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier, Corey. Just let's keep in mind, too, that because there were, I think it was pretty clear, a couple plays that were called to be play-action shots, and he just, didn't like what he saw and adjusted. And a lot of his adjustment was running, and he ran well. We know he can run well. From your perspective, how many of those runs do you think that he still was doing a decent job of going through progressions and then making the right decision to run, or is he tucking and running too quickly still?
No, I mean, Minnesota came after him pretty good, and so I think a lot of the times, when he ran, that needs to be part of his game, and I think especially on third down, when you're just talking about converting, I'm all about if you see the sticks, go get it, move the chains, and start over again. And there was one play in particular that I actually really liked the way he read the rush and he kept his head up, and he could have ran and he uncorked a long pass down the right sideline. He didn't put very much air under it. It was kind of a missile down the sideline. But I really liked the way he kept his head up, felt the rush, extended the play, and then threw the ball, down the field. And I think there was another one where he extended and hit Mason Kinsey over the middle. I don't think he had a lot of places to go in that football game. That's just kind of just being there on the sideline, seeing what I saw. I don't think he had a lot of places to go. Now, look, that part of his game is going to continue to need to grow, and he needs to continue to trust his ability to throw the ball and for those guys to make plays for him. That's the whole part of read it and rip it thing that's got to continue to get better.
Corey Curtis from News 2 with us here on Robby and Rexrode. Corey, what have been your impressions of Tyjae Spears, not only what he's done in the preseason games, but what sort of a factor you think he can be in the offense once the regular season rolls around, knowing that obviously Derrick Henry is still going to get the lion's share of the carries?
Well, if you watched any of his college tape, what you saw in that game doesn't surprise you. I mean, he is instant acceleration. And that's the big difference between, well, other than being a mountain of a man, Henry is the big difference in the way that those guys, carry out the position is, Henry needs a couple of steps and then he can go. For Tyjae, he took that little hop and then he was gone. I mean, he didn't need any time to gather, take two steps and go. Like the moment he hit the ground, he was at top speed. And, that's what's exciting about him, and we really haven't seen them use him in the preseason in the passing game at all. I think maybe one or two passes, but I think that's going to be, a big part of what he can do for this football team. But I will also say they refer to him as a three-down back. They think he is a three-down back. He's not a third-down specialist, and so he adds that lightning to their offense that they might be lacking. For the longest time, Derrick has primarily been it, because they haven't been able to come up with a burner on the outside for whatever reason, and I still don't think they have. So he is the speed element to the offense.
Yeah, no, he's been exciting to watch. All right, let's play. I want to play Camp Hero with you real quick, Corey. Okay.
Okay.
Camp Hero being, I'm going to name a guy to you, and if he's a Camp Hero, that means he's impressing us now, but he's not going to be a part of this football team. Julius Chestnut,
wow.
Camp Hero or no?
Wow, you know what? It's close. It was close last year.
Oh, come on, 98 yards, Corey.
Hey, well, are you asking me if he can play in the league? No.
Well, I'm just saying,
make the team.
Yeah, make the team. Make this team.
He can play in this league. I don't think there's any question, about that. The question is with Haskins, do they keep Haskins then, or do they keep 3, or do they keep 4? They don't have a fullback, so that could open up another spot. I know everybody goes, oh, Haskins, he's not as good at running the ball. Haskins is a core special teams player. That's and can Julius Chestnut be a core special teams player? Because here's the other question for you and your Camp Hero, Joe. Who do you want carrying the ball? Derrick Henry, Tajay Spears, Julius Chestnut, and in what order?
Yeah, he's clearly third there.
Okay,
that's right.
So he's not going to be on the field in the game. All right, that's what we're coming down to. He's not going to be on the field carrying the football unless one of those guys gets hurt, unless he can be a core special teams player. And I don't know if he can or if he can't. I like Julius. I think he's got a great attitude. He's a big, strong frame guy. He gets really low with the football. I would not be against him being on the football team, at all. But you're still talking about limited opportunities for him to actually help this team on offense unless one of those other guys gets hurt.
Okay, quickly on these two. Caleb Murphy, Eric Garror. Please help me with his name.
Garror. I think Eric Garror is on the team.
Dang it. What's that?
Yeah, I think Eric Garror is on the team. I do. I mean, Eric Garror has tackled everything that's been in front of him in the open field. He can contribute on special teams as well. They've already cut Chris Jackson loose. So I think Garror has made a really strong push, to make the football team. I have to look at the numbers for Caleb Murphy as far as like the 53 and how it's going to pan out. I was talking about him at the office last night that I don't know that you can cut him and slide him to the practice squad.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about.
I just don't know.
Agree.
And the thing is getting to talk to him some with the pads off, he can get bigger and stronger. And I'm not saying he's got to get a lot bigger and a lot stronger. I don't know what he lifts in the weight room, but there's room for growth there. And, I don't care what level you play at. You don't get 25 and a half sacks in a season without some special ability to get to the quarterback. I mean, that's freakish. Those numbers are ridiculous. And he's already got 3 sacks now in 2 games. The second sack he had Saturday night was really nice. He made a spin move back to the inside. And, the other thing that I've loved about his sacks is he's finished the play. He doesn't miss the quarterback. I mean, remember when Clowney was here and he had a free shot at, I think, Joe Burrow and just completely whiffed on him? I mean, he's not whiffing on anybody. I'm not saying he's better than Javian Clowney, so don't hit me with that. But I think he's got ability, and I think he's intriguing, and I think he's a guy that I am taking a hard look at finding a way to keep on the football team. Again, can he contribute on special teams? I think that's something as well. But there are very few special skills in this league that make you must-haves on the football team, and the ability to hit the quarterback is one of them.
Corey, what's your view on the place-kicking situation that the Titans currently find themselves in?
I think Trey Wolf has kind of kicked himself out of consideration. Hitting the upright that was on a PAT, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, he has not looked tremendously confident. So I would say at this point it's either Shudak or somebody who's going to get cut loose by another team. That would be my guess.
Corey, the One's offensive line, I thought, the Spears run was fantastic, but also I thought that Brewer and Brunskill opened a hole that I could have gotten 4 yards through. Do you feel like, first of all, I guess how much do you think they've helped their own confidence with these two games, and do you feel like they need to get another good chunk of work Friday?
Yeah, I mean, I do think they need more work. I mean, you know, they got this about the same amount of plays as they got the first game. It just took them 3 drives to get there. And Coach Vrabel was right afterwards when he said, you know, look, you know, it's not always easy at first. Sometimes you got to work through stuff and figure it out. And they also had to drop past, I think, on the first 2 drives I think Chig dropped one early that cost him a big chunk of yardage. So yeah, I mean, I think moving the football, having 2 touchdowns, you know, they haven't had to settle for field goals, and they didn't get 2 or 3 first downs and punt. They've been able to finish off 2 drives, and I do think that has to be good for some of their confidence. You know, I think for the whole group, because that backup group looked pretty rough in Chicago. I think for the whole group to rush for 280 yards, you know, was a big confidence boost. Now, you know, there was a play in the first quarter there where Chris Hubbard got beat like he wasn't even there.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, there was some heat on Malik Willis. So, you know, that group, you know, needs to continue to progress, but showing they can move the ball, and you know, they did create some good pockets for him as well. You know, I know we all have the bar incredibly low for that group, and it's understandable, you know, why. And I don't think you know, any questions have been answered other than, okay, yes, it can function here in the preseason. So there is some reasonable expectation that, you know, when the regular season gets here, you know, these guys are going to be able to move the football. You know, to what level, I don't know. But, you know, they clearly have room to grow. I feel a lot better about the interior of the group than I do the exterior, which has to continue to get better.
Corey Curtis from News 2, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode, joins us every Monday morning at 8 o'clock. Corey, great to talk to you, my friend. Thanks for being with us, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, you tell that little butterball that I said hello, and congratulations.
I will do that. Thank you very much.
Tell her this important thing. She can't do anything about who her parents are. She's stuck with them.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Or her uncle.
She's unfortunately stuck. Thanks, Corey. Appreciate you. We'll have more on the Titans. 615-737-1025. Our phone number, 615-737-1025. Take your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Your favorite game, Silly Underdog Picks, is back. Sign up today at thegamenashville.com or the 1025 The Game app. Silly Underdog Picks presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket and Superbook Sports. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Nashville Sounds baseball lives on 94.9 The Fan. Catch every pitch.
Swing and a miss, strike 3.
Every hit.
That's a base hit.
Every run.
Looking up, it's gone.
On your home for Sounds baseball, 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey, it's Jared. Want to tell you about Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Hiller is keeping you chillin' all summer with special deals to keep you relaxed and happy this summer. Tackle those necessary home system replacements this month to take advantage of these special deals. When you purchase a select new HVAC system, you'll get 2 Yeti Trailhead camping chairs, a Yeti Panga 28L waterproof backpack, a Yeti Tundra 75, and 2 Yeti tumblers for free. And get special freebies on Yeti products with every new whole home generator or tankless water heater purchase. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
We're losing too many of our friends, neighbors, and loved ones to fentanyl poisoning. Nearly 75% of overdose deaths in Nashville involve fentanyl, but you can save a life with training and naloxone. STARS, Nashville's regional overdose prevention specialists, are here to teach you how to recognize and respond to an overdose and how you can save a life. Call 615-393-6980 or visit starsnashville.org. This project is funded under a grant contract with the State of Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Want to weigh in on the conversation? It's a brain booster. Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Good morning. You're locked into Robby and Rexrode, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty.
I have the radio on. I'm listening to
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by Superbook, live from our 102.5 The Game studio. Nick Keyser holding down the fort, brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Robby and Rexrode, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty, helping home buyers and sellers in Middle Tennessee for 20 years. We are live today in Hendersonville, Tennessee, God's country, as I call it, at the Duncan location, 206 Indian Lake Boulevard here in Hendersonville, Tennessee. Come on out. We're going to be here till 9 o'clock. The grand reopening of the Duncan in Hendersonville today, 206 Indian Lake Boulevard. Lots of people rolling in. Come in, get some donuts, get some coffee. Check out the show as well. Got gift cards available. Junior Riddle is outside giving away some gift cards. So make sure you check that out as well. Pumpkin is in. It is that time of the year. Sign up for awards and receive $5 gift cards and fun Duncan giveaways while supplies last. Taking your thoughts on the Titans. Titans win 24-16 on Saturday against Minnesota in preseason game number 2. We'll have Joe Rexrode's latest 53-man roster coming up at 8:30. So looking forward to that. Joe, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but your impressions from Malik Willis and what you saw. The Malik show on Saturday, he played the whole game at quarterback other than a few snaps from Mason Kinsey at quarterback toward the end of the game. But 10 of 17, 85 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception from Malik Willis. Also ran the ball 11 times, 91 yards on the ground. What did you think of Malik Willis on Saturday against Minnesota?
Yeah, I thought he had a fine game overall, but I thought it was a bit of a missed opportunity for him. You know, it's when you know you have the whole game, and it's unfortunate, the circumstance that Will Levis tweaks whatever he tweaked, which obviously wasn't much of a big deal because they're not signing another quarterback. I think Levis will be back out there this week. But when you know you have that, there's no – you know, like sometimes in a situation like this, we think about the guy who gets put into the game, and it's like, okay, you got to be ready.
Right.
But also, the guy who leaves the game is like, oh, I missed that last throw, and now how long do I have to wait before I get to go out there again, right? I mean, it kind of plays in your mind both ways. You know you have the whole game, and you get to go out there with your one's offensive line, which played very well a week earlier. You get to go out there with Chig, NWI, and Chris Moore. These are all guys who are going to catch passes for the Titans this year. You got Tyjae Spears behind you, and he missed some plays that, and it made one, to me, bad play on the pick that just unfortunate. There were other good plays too, for sure. He made some good throws. Chig dropped a couple of them.
He did.
And so it wasn't all bad. It was, I think, solid, but I don't think it was like a discernible step forward from the first preseason game, and it wasn't what I thought could have happened, which is Willis just staking claim. Like, right now, I'm QB2. It may change in the future or whatever. Right now, I'm QB2. Look at how I played. Right. I don't think he did that. I mean, to me, if anything, I think Will Levis may have tightened things up. Oh, my goodness, I just said that. Without playing.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like, I thought there were some obviously good plays that Malik Willis made on the ground. I mean, I said this earlier. I mean, go back to, I think it was – late in the second quarter, he made one run where he's just running away from people, and you're like, geez, that's some good speed shown by Malik Willis there. So 91 yards on the ground, I mean, it's really good for your quarterback. I thought he made a couple of throws that were really nice. The touchdown pass to Julius Chestnut I thought was a decisive throw where maybe he was staring him down a little too long, but he fired it in there. Good catch by Chestnut to touchdown. Made a couple other really good throws. Missed one to NWI that you can't miss. Got to have that throw. It's interesting that the conversation on the interception, because Willis after the game was basically talking about how the window he thought was going to come open and the defensive player just made a good play. Vrabel seemed to be, I guess, less inclined to credit the defensive player and talked about how probably got to make a better decision there. But the discourse back and forth that I've seen on social media from some Titans fans about the interception has been pretty interesting. I'm with you. I thought it was a throw that you just can't make in that situation.
Yeah, I think I saw something from I think it was from football and other F words from Zach. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was somebody else. I apologize. I saw somebody in the Titans universe making the point that the linebacker in that situation often will go with the vertical route, which would open that up. So, and I do not have that broken down into splits on how often that may be the case, but Vrabel's description of the play made it seem more like in cover 2. That's not the one you want to throw.
Right.
So look, pick's always on the quarterback, man.
Yeah,
it's always on the quarterback. So it's
just going his stats.
Yeah. And I just watching that play, you're anticipating something, but it ended up being a force and a very easy interception, for that linebacker. So that one not great. The NWI, if he hits him in stride, that's a pretty big play that you miss right there. And there are a couple throws he made where I didn't think he had to go back foot, but he threw off the back foot. And look, he's got the arm strength to still get the ball where he wants to get it with some zip, but you want the footwork to be better on it some too, as my QB coaching expertise kicks in. Yeah, I know you don't want to throw back foot if you don't have to, and I thought that happened a little bit too. He's gotten better. It's not like this derailed him, but it just wasn't quite. I'm sure he would say the same thing. You don't want to leave that many plays out there when you have an opportunity like that.
Let me ask you, because you threw this out to me earlier. It's an interesting week. The Titans have had their joint practices with the Patriots canceled this week because of the Isaiah Bolden injury that happened on Saturday night for the Patriots. So you're not going to see the Titans and the Patriots on the practice field this week. I would assume, based on Vrabel saying that they don't need to go sign another quarterback, that Levis is okay. I mean, like you said, Levis warmed up the other day, didn't play. But I assume he's close enough to being back out there where we're probably going to see him at some point this week. So let's say Levis is available and he's ready to go on Friday for the game. Are you giving him the whole game? Are you going splits basically like they did in the first game against Chicago? How are you handling quarterback coming up on Friday if you're the Titans in the game?
I think the most important thing is he should get the start. He should get especially if you are going to, again, try out that one's offensive line.
Yeah.
I'd think hard about not trotting out Spears at this point, but
I would too.
Chig, NWI, and Chris Moore, whoever your starters / key reserves are who are playing, Will Levis should get to play with those guys. So I would do that, and I would give him a little bit more work than Willis. I don't know that I'd give him the whole game. I don't think I would do that. I'd continue to go back to the rotation of here you up, now he's in, now you're in. You got to be ready. But I definitely think that Levis should get that opportunity with the best possible players you're going to play with in the preseason.
I'm really interested to see how that shakes out because, I thought it was an opportunity for Willis on Saturday to take the bull by the horns and maybe not totally lock down QB2, but really make things really difficult for Levis in this part of the conversation. And I don't really think that happened on Saturday. I still think the door is wide open for Levis if he can seize it and he plays well this week. And, again, like if what we don't know and what, Jared's thrown this out there, we've talked about this before too, like if the coaching staff views it as really close between Willis and Levis, if it push comes to shove and you're activating somebody on a game day, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Willis? Is it going to be Levis? Like, how does the coaching staff view that? So I do think there's still an incredible opportunity this week for Levis if he can get back out there on the field to snatch QB2. Like, I still think that's available. And I thought Willis had the opportunity on Saturday maybe to make that way more difficult, and I don't think he did that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't think he had a chance to win it, end it, but to create a little bit more distance, and I agree. I don't think he did. Bradford says you almost called him Lelis.
Lelis?
Maybe that should be their name. Should that be their name, Lelis?
It's a pretty good
Levis
combo.
and Willis?
I mean, it's no Vrayran or what have we come up with? Carthon
We
and
haven't talked
Vrabel,
about Vrayran in a while.
Lelis.
Hashtag Lelis.
I don't hate it. I think we could probably do it.
Either.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Coming up next, it is time for Joe Rexrode's latest 53-man Titans roster. Get excited. Take notes.
So excited.
Call the children. Do all these things. It's big news coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The Vanderbilt Commodores are ready for year 3 under head coach Clark Lee.
As we stand now in front of a clean sheet. Our goal is postseason play.
And we are your home for all of the action.
Touchdown, Vandy. The doors on the board. Vandy, 24-21, your final.
Vanderbilt football lives on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Some people put off things that need doing. Not you. Harbor Freight knows you're a today's the day kind of person. And I'm on it kind of person. A bring it kind of person. So if you're rolling up your sleeves today and you don't want to overpay for tools, you're a Harbor Freight kind of person. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Looking for a big diamond? Genesis Diamonds introduces our Elite Collection, all new for this year. These are large, rare diamonds in the top 1% of the world. 3 carat, 4 carat, 5 carat, up to 10 carat precious diamonds for the most discriminating buyers who appreciate quality. Genesis owners travel worldwide, tapping a vast network of diamond cutters, carefully hand-selecting each of these remarkable diamonds. We invite you to view this premium collection of GIA-certified diamonds, rounds, cushion cuts, emerald cuts, even fancy colored diamonds in size and quality never before seen here. And to showcase these exquisite stones, only Genesis has the finest handcrafted rings from all the world-class designers. If 2020 is the year you're upgrading her original diamond, or you just want to go big for the first time, no need to travel to New York or Los Angeles or Antwerp. Genesis Diamonds' elite collection of large, precious diamonds is here in Nashville. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey home buyers, TJ Anderson here. Are you looking for a luxury home on over an acre, 7 bedrooms, 9 bathrooms, and close to 7,000 square feet? 6551 Brownlee Drive in Nashville's Westmead neighborhood offers that and a 4th car garage, all by an award-winning builder. Text the number 1 to 615-420-2377 for pricing and info. Want your home on the radio? Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why we are referred by clients so often. TJ Anderson Homes at Benchmark Realty, office number 615-432-2919.
Attention taxpayers, ready for some bad news? With $80 billion in new funding from Congress, the IRS has launched their most aggressive hiring campaign ever to ramp up enforcement. If you're ignoring your taxes, don't delay another minute because your paycheck, your bank account, even your home or business could already be at risk. Now, here's the good news. Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm, can get to work immediately, helping to protect you from the IRS. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, their tax attorneys and licensed professionals are experts at resolving tax problems. Let them help determine if you qualify for the Fresh Start Initiative or other powerful IRS tax assistance programs. Take control. Call Optima Tax Relief now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Sometimes it's good to be loud.
This is the NFL.
Especially when you're Jared Stillman.
That's where we are.
He's not afraid to say what's on his mind each and every day.
That was embarrassing. I don't care if you're a rookie. That was embarrassing.
Stillman and Company. Weekdays at 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Gary Bettman. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Tune in to the Chase McCabe Show and Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace tomorrow as they broadcast live from Titans training camp. They'll get player interviews, deliver the latest updates with Titans practice as the team preps for the 2023 season. Coverage of Titans training camp is presented by the Simmons Bank Open, Harmon Energy, Caudle Vet Clinic, and the new Cumberland Development. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Nick Keyser here with you on this Monday morning. We are live out at Duncan in Hendersonville, 206 Indian Lake Boulevard. We've been here all morning. Lots of people rolling in. Come on out today. It's the grand reopening of the Duncan in Hendersonville, 206 Indian Lake Boulevard. Got great coffee. Got great donuts. What more could you want, Joe Rexrode? It's like our own personal heaven for us.
Exactly. It is, and let me tell you something. I'm putting it away today, and it's tasting really good.
yes, you are.
Hey, let me address this. We talked about this last week. I want to address it again.
Okay.
Glenn from Greenbrier. Why is the injury to Levis? Why is that such a mystery? We knew within 24 hours what the injury to Burks was. So again, Treylon Burks' injury becomes this activation of NFL media because it's like, oh, this is a key player who may have a season ending. It looks like it maybe could be the ACL, whatever.
Yeah.
So Rappaport gets, from whoever that it's an LCL sprain. Others confirm it. So that's significant news. If you look around, most injuries, if you go through an entire Titans camp, how many injuries do we get specific news on? We don't get specific news. I don't know what. And Kyle Phillips, you do get specific word on where it is because that's the rule in a game. So it says Kyle Phillips knee questionable, whoever shoulder questionable. But if you get injured in practice, they don't have to specify. If it was a game week, they would have to specify and have to be on an injury report. Because it's not, it's look, it's not a big. It's a tiny little injury.
Right.
TD got a video of him with a wrap around his thigh. It usually means like a little slight hamstring pull. It's not like the foot that he had before. He would have been in a boot. And the fact that they're not getting a quarterback means he's coming back. It was. I'm gonna guess Twitter doctoring right now that it was a slight hamstring pull. So, but that's why, because one of them is potentially big news, and one of them is just another little minor camp injury, and they happen all the time.
So, Joe, your latest 53-man roster is out at theathletic.com. My pursuit to get you to do 5 or 6 of these we're working on as we get to 53-man roster cut-down day for the Tennessee Titans. But I'll leave the ball in your court. What kind of stands out to you as you evaluate where the Titans are? We're heading into the final week of the preseason with game coming up on Friday. And then after that, it's roster cut-down time. It's getting ready for the regular season opener against New Orleans. And you're off and running from there with a 53-man roster. So what stands out to you about where the Titans sit with their latest roster projections after the game 2 of the preseason in Minnesota?
Well, we've talked about some of these, changes or big questions. Caleb Murphy, definitely one of them. So Caleb Murphy makes mine now, and I did not have him. I had quite a few changes from the pre-camp one to this one. That's definitely one of them. Another guy I had, some of the text line just said, well, Kyle Phillips is the key guy with a knee injury. We don't know updates. Well, you got from the game that it's a knee injury. Yeah, he's not on IR. He's out with a knee until he's not out with a knee.
Right. To this point, haven't made a move.
Which is the same thing with Jonathan Ward, which, by the way, is a guy who on my 53, I've moved off him. I don't know what the duration there is. I really like the camp he has. I like Jonathan Ward as a player. I think he's a good number 2 third down back. I'm guessing Haskins, because kind of what Corey Curtis said. Now, maybe Corey's right and Haskins is better on special teams than Chestnut and gets the spot over Chestnut, but I got them both. Now, that's a heavy running back room, but that's just how I'm looking at it right now. Look, I went light at receiver. I've talked about, I'm off the Racey McMath train, but again, is he so valuable on special teams that he makes the team? Reggie R. I don't know. I just don't quite see it there. I'll tell you a guy who I've got on this that I did not have going into camp, and I feel pretty good about it now. Thomas Odukoya. Man. Pretty amazing story when you think about it. This guy, international. He born in Amsterdam, grew up in the Netherlands, sent and taped all these, coaches in the United States. He goes to a couple of JUCOs, plays at Eastern Michigan, but very, very raw. Comes in, he's on the international player pathway program for the Titans, so he didn't count last year. He was able to be here, not count against anything. I think he's going to make the active roster. He's out there blasting people. And the way I kind of look at the tight end room now, you got a
Herndon
video.
put out a video yesterday of him just absolutely annihilating somebody on the line of scrimmage. He comes off the block and just pancakes.
That's tough from the side, man. I feel bad
just,
for that guy.
Just gets crushed by Thomas Odukoya.
Just bruised all his ribs with that one.
Wham!
Yeah.
Yep.
But he's become, and I think what it is I think Trevon Wesco and Thomas Odukoya are kind of like the 1-2 punch of blocking tight ends who are very physical.
Yep.
So, I look at that room, and, Rader was a guy who I thought going into camp, I put Odukoya over him now. And then, Wiley will make it too, Josh. Right? A little bit more of the pass receiving tight end, backing up Chig. I think he'll get some opportunities, but that's how I look at that. Obviously, the O-line has changed so much. I mean, my initial one had Jamarco Jones and George Fant making it. So, one thing that's interesting, of course, is Justin Murray playing tackle the other night. So, is it possible that Murray could make a run at Chris Hubbard? I don't know. But, he played well, keeping in mind who he played against.
Yep.
How much of a drop-off of people he played against compared to who Hubbard played against? I don't know. But that's something worth keeping in mind here. Is Justin Murray potentially going to work in there with Hubbard and make a run at tackle? It's been interesting how they started him out inside and they bumped him out. D-line, as I said earlier, I mean, I still have Naquan Jones on this team, but I don't know. It's one of those things where at some point, like, you need to be available and be on the field.
Yeah.
And he's still obviously a guy near the cut line. They brought in Kyle Picco. I don't think he's coming in and jumping people. That's just my opinion. Sam Okwananonu. Yep, Samo. I like him. He's another guy who a year ago was kind of like, wow, project, and now he's just gotten a lot better. Odukoya and he have both gotten a lot better. Where it gets interesting and hard to – what did Corey say, Garror?
Yep, Garror.
Garror. Why do I struggle with this one? Eric Garror. Look, I think he's got a real chance, and I think he's made a lot of plays out there. I think some of those guys, a lot of those guys are getting a lot of look. Marsh is getting a lot of a look out there. But I like Anthony Kendall. I've liked Anthony Kendall from the start of camp. So I could be wrong on that one for sure. But I think Kendall edges him out. And, this is where I got 6 corners and 5 safeties making this team. That's a lot.
That is.
And I have only 5 receivers. But, again, that just comes down to the end. The bottom of those rooms comes down to a question I can't answer, which is how does Jared Stillman's favorite coach evaluate those guys with his units?
Right.
That's what it's about. I mean, every press conference, Vrabel inevitably will get into, and obviously, this is what they're looking at, but he'll get into these guys from the kicking game aspect.
Right.
And they say what you like, and I get it. The Titans need to be better overall on special teams, but the emphasis is undeniable from the head coach down. It matters a lot to him. And so I got a lot of those DBs making it. Like, is Shai Carter making it? I don't know. Josh Thompson making it? I mean, I say yes, but, there's a lot. That could be lighter there, and it could be heavier at receiver for sure.
Well, and if it is, it's who's that guy at receiver? It's, has Racey McMath done enough in camp to this point to have a spot guaranteed? I don't think he does have a spot guaranteed.
Not guaranteed unless, again, if Craig Aukerman's like, oh, he's one of my guys.
Right.
Then there it is. That's it. But I don't think Racey McMath has made enough leaps as a receiver to make it that way. That's not the way he makes a team. He may make it the kicking game way.
Well, and it's interesting, too, we haven't seen any news on the Kyle Phillips. You brought this up earlier. Like, if Phillips is hurt and it's somewhat long-term, like, does Mason Kinsey make the team out of camp at that point? Like, what do you do for your dedicated slot receiver if Phillips can't go? Now, hopefully Phillips is not that serious and he's able to go by week 1. But if he's not, like, what do you do for your slot receiver at that point if you're the Titans at that point? Like, some people would say only keeping 5 is nuts if you're the Titans. I think there's a chance they might only keep 5 just because it doesn't feel like anybody is really asserting themselves in those final spots right now.
Right.
I mean, even NWI doesn't feel like he's asserting himself, but we know what he's been in the league.
Yeah. I mean, Moore and NWI are 4 or 5. But like you said, like, is 3 out for a while? 3 being your number 1 slot guy.
Right.
Mason Kinsey's gotten better.
He looks
Some
good.
people are going to laugh because I know that from the moment he had that huge preseason game in Atlanta, there were some people like, Mason Kinsey. But you know what? He's gotten more physical. He's gotten better. Vrabel loves him. You could tell yesterday, listening to Vrabel talk about him, you could tell because Vrabel let him be a freaking option quarterback.
He did.
In a preseason game. They like him a lot, and he's gotten better. He's a great story. If he had to go out and play some slot snaps for this team, I think he could go out and do a job. And so good on him. He's one of those guys everybody wants to – not everybody, but a lot of people just want to dismiss. Like, get out of here with that. He's gotten better. Good for him. You have to do it. You have to keep improving, or at some point you're just out of the league.
We'll take your thoughts on Joe Rexrode's 53-man roster for the Tennessee Titans. Take more of your Titans thoughts as well on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Make sure you tune in to 102.5-106.3 The Game this Saturday for the return of Vanderbilt football. Commodores will be kicking off at 6:30 at home against Hawaii with pregame beginning at 5 o'clock. You can hear all the coverage on 102.5 The Game, the 102.5 The Game app, and at theGameNashville.com. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game is live and local.
And now, let's meet the starting lineups.
Robby and Rexrode 6 to 9.
Big time performance, best part of the team.
Chase McCabe 9 to 11.
An unrestricted free agent.
Caroline, Willie, and D Mace 11 to 2.
Got the big contract.
The Velvet Touch. Talk about Hall of Famers.
And Stillman and Company 2 to 6.
Kept going for it.
And don't forget, we're your home for all things Smashville.
He scored!
Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Baseball fans, your home for the best baseball action is 102.5 The Game and 94.9 The Fan with the ESPN Game of the Week and the Nashville Sounds. It's all brought to you by Superbook Sports, the #1 sports book in Vegas. Download the Superbook app today.
Hey y'all, it's Courtney with Parman Tractor and Equipment. Warmer months have you working overtime? Be sure to visit Parman Tractor and Equipment for all your New Holland tractor and bush hog needs. Swing by our store at 3570 Dickerson Pike in North Nashville or give our sales team a call. We're now offering 0% financing for 72 months on select New Holland tractors. Get the brands you trust from a local dealer like Parman, always ensuring totally outrageous customer service. Visit ParmanTractor.com for the best deals on equipment, New Holland tractor, bush hog, and more.
It's time to let your voice be heard. Nashville is headed to a runoff in the mayoral race on Thursday, September 14th. Stand up and be counted. Cromwell Media reminds you to get out and vote for the future of our city.
Let's face it, talking about life insurance is never easy. But after we watched a close friend lose her husband with no insurance, we decided that wasn't going to happen to our family.
Yeah, but shopping for life insurance can be almost as difficult as talking about it.
But then we heard about Ethos Life Insurance. They're a new kind of life insurance, built for people on a busy schedule who don't have time for unnecessary doctor's visits, fine print, or hidden fees. You know, who want to keep it simple.
I couldn't believe how easy it was. We answered a few basic questions, and within minutes, we had an estimate of what it would cost and what sort of policy made sense for us.
I never imagined a life insurance could be so affordable.
And accessible.
The peace of mind knowing that our future is secure, it just removes a lot of the fear around getting older and...
Yeah, the unexpected.
I'm glad we talked about it.
I'm glad we went with ethoslife.com.
Go to getethos.com now for your free estimate. That's getethos.com. Getethos.com.
In any work environment, culture is the most important thing. And what makes up the culture? The people. Hey, this is General Manager Sean Ford with Cromwell Media. This month, we want to highlight 2 individuals on our team celebrating their anniversary. First, Max Hers is celebrating over 5 years with us on 102.5 The Game. And our president and owner, Bud Walters, is celebrating his 51st year with Cromwell Media. Thanks to you for the community you've built here. If you're looking for a new career, reach out to us at together@cromwellmedia.com. Love what you do, love where you work.
The Titans were were able to get their first preseason win in Minnesota.
Well, I thought we were physical. I thought we were able to run the football.
Now, as Mike Vrabel and his staff continue to build their 53-man roster.
But I saw him progress through. I saw him make some plays when there was some time.
Who will stand out in Game 3 against the Patriots?
Second half, we came out. Everybody was violent, physical.
Keep it locked to Nashville's best Titans talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're locked into Robby and Rexrode.
Every morning, first thing.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in. Final segment of the day. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Nick Keys are here with you on this Monday morning. We are live out at Dunkin' in Hendersonville, 206 Indian Lake Boulevard. People rolling in all morning. Dunkin's, coffee, pumpkin is in. Got gift cards outside. Junior Riddle is giving away. Really fun time here in Hendersonville, 206 Indian Lake Boulevard, the grand reopening of Dunkin'. So make sure you come check it out. Taking your thoughts on the Titans, 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. Cameron on the text line says, Kyle Phillips can't make it through a single game. He cannot be counted on. This from Cameron on the text line. We've had a lot of that about Kyle Phillips on the text line so far today.
It's very fair to wonder if he can stay healthy. Now, this is, a knee is, again, a knee is a knee. I don't think a knee has much to do with, as TD and I were talking about yesterday, body type, and it also really doesn't have anything to do with any strength and conditioning staff. There's no strength and conditioning staff in the world that can prevent a knee that gets caved in or has a weird twist from having an issue. Like, it's just part of football. It's violent, and everybody has tons of injuries. But, yeah, with Kyle Phillips, you do wonder, can he stay healthy? Some people just can't.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that it happens in the preseason, too. It kind of looks like a crown of a helmet on a knee. Hopefully he's not too bad. And look, if he's ready to go by week 1, I don't guess it really matters. But you don't want him missing time again this year. And number one, for him, because I think it's important that he proves he stays healthy. But number two, I do think he can play a significant role in the offense. He's not going to be Traylon Burks or DeAndre Hopkins, but I think he can play a significant role in the offense this year. And we've talked about this before, but Tannehill has really never, for any significant stretch of time, since he's become a quarterback of the Titans, has never had that dedicated slot guy. Adam Humphries spent a lot of time hurt when Tannehill took over as quarterback, and then he was gone. And ever since then, they've not really had the true slot guy. And Kyle Phillips, in the one game he played basically last year, he was Tannehill's favorite target. So just because he was Tannehill's favorite target in the one game doesn't mean that that's what it's always going to be. But I would be interested to see what having an actual dedicated slot receiver can do for this offense and for Ryan Tannehill specifically.
Yeah, I think it absolutely would make a difference. They've counted on him to make a difference, and as a punt returner too. I think he's – will he catch it? If he's going to be out there, is he going to be okay? Is he going to catch the punts consistently? The first time he doesn't, he's out of there. But if he does, he'll make some electric plays. And as much as we've just been talking about how Kinsey's improved, he could come in and he's a second slot guy, he could do the job, there's a big difference. Kyle Phillips' feet are ridiculous. And that short space quickness is just it's just when you have it, it's a weapon. And so I think that they do have him earmarked to be a key guy in this offense, but I don't know. He's got to prove at this point that he can stay on the field. So you don't want to be overly reliant on him, You got to be able to, what does Vrabel say, two and a spare at every position?
A pair and a spare.
A pair and a spare.
Yeah.
Pair and a spare. There you go.
Got to have a pair and a spare.
But he is different. And if he can play this year and be out there, then I think you'll see it. He's going to help this offense.
Joe, the Titans were originally scheduled to have joint practices with the Patriots this week. Isaiah Bolden of the Patriots goes down on Saturday in Green Bay. Scary injury, had to go to the hospital, got checked out. Seems to be okay, but Patriots deciding to cancel the joint practices with the Titans this week. Now, we've seen some other cancellations around the league that have nothing to do with injuries this week too, so some of it I wonder about, like, have teams just felt like they've gotten enough work in and don't want to go through the hassle of joint practices. But it is a shame, I think, especially from the quarterbacks, because, Tannehill getting the work in against the Patriots starters,
trying to minimize the injury risk that way, but also the two rookies of going up against the Bill Belichick defense and the different looks that they'll present to you and what that could do for them in terms of their development. I guess unfortunate that they're not going to get that this week. We still will have the game coming up on Friday. I don't know how exotic the Patriots are going to be with their game plan and the final game of the preseason when they're taking on some of these guys, but no joint practices between the Titans and the Patriots this week. And we talked about this earlier. I do wonder, does that shift the way that Vrabel views playing time in Friday's game for maybe some veteran players? I don't know that I necessarily mean, Tannehill or Hopkins or Henry or anybody like that, but were there guys that maybe weren't going to play on Friday's game if everything went to plan this week with joint practices that now might see some action that you're not getting those looks against the Patriots?
Hey, man, people are clamoring for Tannehill today. People are clamoring.
They want him in there.
I will say, once the preseason's over, I hope someone breaks this down. I mean, I'm sure it won't be that hard to figure out. How many NFL starters got no preseason snaps?
Yeah.
It does seem this year like it'll be a much shorter list.
It seems
for
like
whatever reason.
It seems like players are playing a little bit more in the preseason this year. I will say that.
And it's interesting, too, with the joint practices. It's almost like you're kind of trying to find that right balance. I can see how 2 straight weeks of those joint practices, some coaches would be like, yeah, maybe not.
Yeah.
Because it is a higher level of intensity, and it's just, it's like it's just different than a game, but you do get a lot of reps, good against good, which is good, good work, but those can get intense, and it does bring a little bit higher level of, injury risk. And so I wonder, it's kind of become the thing. Everybody's going to do 2. You wonder now, does it go back to maybe more teams trying to look to do 1 of those? Do teams see a little bit more value in game action?
Up in Massachusetts for a little while.
We're on to Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's too
Cincinnati.
It's too hot.
Well, he has a home here, so he could he's got AC in his own home.
Very hot. We don't do that in Massachusetts.
I hate you, Mike. I'm not coming. That's why I traded you to Kansas City.
That's right. So we'll see what kind of work the Titans get in this week, the final week of the preseason. We'll have a lot to get to on that front throughout the week here on Robby and Rexrode. Joe, your final thoughts on Nashville SC. They fall on Saturday night to enter Miami. Lionel Messi with a really impressive goal on Saturday. He scores again in the PKs. Goalkeepers end up going in the PKs, and Miami wins the Leagues Cup final on Saturday night at Geodis Park. I thought a really good game, really fun game to be a part of in the crowd and watch. And I thought a really good effort by Nashville SC. Had a couple of chances toward the end of the game to win it, weren't able to convert, and Lionel Messi really ends up being the difference in that game for Miami.
I think it's awesome that you were in the house and watched that absurd goal by the GOAT. It's too bad that Nashville couldn't have finished that off. That would have been quite a celebration to cap really an amazing run in the Leagues Cup tournament. I don't agree with people who say that was the biggest sporting event in Nashville history. Well, let me compare this one to you.
Okay.
That night and the NFL draft.
Whew. I hadn't thought about that one. I mean, they're so different, but I mean, I would probably go NFL draft. That's just me.
Again, like
they were too Americanized.
Yeah, I mean but that's the thing. I mean, it is America, Robbie. This is after all America. Is it not America?
It is America.
Yeah, and American sports. And again, we love soccer too, but if you still compare the quality of the leagues in that, you also do look at the global eyeballs who were brought in for that, and it was huge, no doubt. It was amazing. It's too bad Nashville couldn't have finished it, but I think this entire thing absolutely, like the Stanley Cup final run in 17-16, will add fans, has added fans, has permanently added fans. And if you're, John Ingram and that club, you certainly love that. And it's amazing atmosphere there. And I think that team, with Sam Surridge now, I'm no expert, okay? But, I mean, I did some Twitter doctoring today, too, so why not? I'll do some soccer analysis. I think that team is an absolute MLS Cup contender.
Well, you got yourself a striker, and they're a legitimate striker that you can feel good about. One thing, too, that stood out to me was, and I know it's not like hockey where, McDavid and Draisaitl can generate 15 looks a game that are quality looks. I thought Nashville SC, for the most part, did a decent job on Messi. They let him get loose once, and he made him pay for it. And then he had another look where he put one off the post in regulation. And that was pretty much it. Now, again, I get it. It's soccer. Even the best players in the world aren't, having 15 shots on goal anymore.
Right.
But I thought they did a decent job of limiting what he could do out there, and he took that little bit of space the one time and nailed it. And that's why he's the GOAT.
Yeah, right, exactly. That's the thing. It's like you have this great plan, you do everything you want to do, and still that tiny little sliver of room, and somehow he buries it.
Yep.
Amazing.
Pretty crazy. Congratulations, Nashville SC. Great run, and we'll see if they can make an MLS Cup run now once the playoffs begin and they get things rolling that way. That's going to do it for us today here on Robby and Rexrode. The Chase McCabe Show is coming up next. You're listening to 102.5, 106.3 The Game.